morning, good morning. We're going to get started here in about a few minutes. So if you could find your seats and we'll begin here shortly. Miigwech. Good morning. We're going to start here with our same offering, a same ke, a widde. Over here to my left below, we have a tobacco dish that belongs to one of our Panesi de Wegans here in the community. So if you want to come up and put some asema down, please do so. Miigwech.
actually got gifts for a change. I never used to have these. Good turnout, Sam.
Yeah, it's good.
It's really bright up here, though.
It
Are
is.
they going to turn the lights on that so it won't be as bright?
I can go ask.
So we got a lot of dignitaries here. I see Bill over there. Bill Kramer. I didn't make it through the middle. Got a speech all written and ready to go?
Not really.
You nervous?
Actually, I kind of am.
I can tell Sam. So Emily says this is the first day we have it. She's not stressed out. She's not nervous. And then Vito comes in. She says, "What's going on? It seems to be so calm."
That's good.
So we transfer all of that nervousness to you.
Just a few other housekeeping items here this morning. Out of respect for all the attendees and the upcoming speakers, ask you to please either silence or turn off your cell phones or other electric devices so that we don't have any disruptions. Miigwech.
Yeah, you're on that end over there.
I better make sure I do that myself here.
You decide where you want to sit. You like it? Yeah.
Also, I did hear too that some people are having a difficult time logging on to the virtual option for today's event. If you have a family member that's been trying to get on, and you can let them know, if they copy and paste the address for the Zoom link into the browser or type that in, we're hearing that works. So please do pass on that information if you have family members that are trying to get on. So. Okay. Also, Darcy just let me know that they do have it on the website, the Mille Lacs Band website, under the legislative tab. Go on to that, and you can click on that one too. That's been working, so be good. Not sure if you have you can turn down the lights a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm reflecting here off for anybody. So. It's pretty bright up here, so just letting you know. Yeah. We'd like to thank Scotty Matrios for performing this morning. Scotty participates in our drum ceremony along with Mr. Churchill too. Jeremiah, Miigwech. So Miigwech to Jeremiah and Scotty. I heard them singing out there this morning. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Buju. Sinjin, could we have some of our drum chiefs stand up, drum caretakers?
Sheldon, to your right.
Over here, Sheldon, to your
Right. To the front, right. You're right, Sheldon.
So Sheldon's going around with one of our pipes with our Benesi de Wagon here. Is a custom here in Mille Lacs, Ajamug, Minnesnaquan, and Neashing here with the drums that we take care of. So we're just starting out in a good way here.
Emily.
Any other drum keepers that are sitting in the audience? Okay. Miigwech. Buju Indawe Maganadug. Now Jesus Nindigenous Cause. Mukwad and Dudame. Bakwa Menominakaning. Minnesnaquan. Nindonjaba. Good morning and welcome to the 40th Annual State of the Band Address. My name is Samuel Moose. I'm the Commissioner of Administration for the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. As a courtesy to those who are not able to be with us in person, this State of Band is being offered virtually. Apologize for a little of the things that often do go wrong. It's always something that just doesn't quite turn out right sometimes. That just happens, and we just persevere. On behalf of the elected leaders and appointed band officials, I'd like to say miigwech and welcome to the Mille Lacs Band members who are in attendance and who are online. This recording of this State of the Band will be available for band members to view on YouTube after the address. We will begin today's events by recognizing Joe Nikwanebi Sr. and George Morrow, who take care of our Penesi Day Wagon, one of our Penesi Day Wagons in the community, and the tobacco offering here today. So at this time, I'd ask those to please stand if you're able to, as our honored flag bearers from the Mille Lacs Band Veterans Group post the flags. U.S. Army, Iraq War, carry the Mille Lacs All Veterans Eagle Staff. Kirk Kalk, Newagidnishik, U.S. Marines, carrying the United States American flag. Renee Pewash, Nishquag Gigikwe, U.S. Army, carrying the Mille Lacs Band flag. And Jamie Short, Ibun, Iwe Dewug, U.S. Army, carrying the POW MIA flag. also accompanied by our various royalty throughout our communities. Miigwech, Color Guard, and Little Otter Singers. We're singing the flag song. At this time, Obazan will be providing the invocation so that we can begin the State of the Band address in a good way. So we'll put the colors down first before Obazan, so we get the flag song.
Hey,
dignitary list. I don't know if you can even read that. Somebody needs to teach me.
And everybody can be seated for the invocation.
Testing. Miigwet shma bedog shmone ik benasa kage ik manongoma. Ske awa. Menu chigewa kan go. Keno enda magete go. Imashum sananum. Oh, wabskibenes namana dugwils and my bepin to ganawad. And no, they were gonna skate sma. Kiutaska no. O do pagana now, Imashum sanan, meow. A sema with the nekat canangio manido ge nabiwada. The Natamago siang ma nongo makui diang nago gema. Shukana matis sema ko kanuna wana. Natamago is the door. And the shanabe ma wenjit. Nako ge kenango get in away magnanagan Natamago zwada. Skid the show. Asema mi wetege nekata au manito na ganas swimming. Adapnan my winner now semanam. Then jeneke tagunan nata magunan au manito. Then a mamina sayang. Gani minang ske wentrata angyo. Be move to check napa minchik mate be move to at own shnabe papam beswin. Mas kuneganing. The Natamago was about Mamma Mochigiwan Mata Yamaka. Gego Mama Natakta Yamakastanuna. The Natamata works Gishwina. Mamochige Sagwa mi own shnabe ma. Danakidem ke nika enda. Sketa smart, we not a magos wago. Mandaman nako ke nemuewe tanga. Nako ke wagos na showered. Nako ke abe biskane ashi kwe. Ske gawin when a panasano than a key in the warm. It is not a natamago and a money to number winges watama. Then a bimu to water on a key one. Going go kenama and go money to win dashamasiga, nepoa yaug. Mikuma anand win dashamak me with a sema gay nakat gay a manido ma king ayad. Mimana nawa imana amtabem. That apnike gave the Infinike Tagunan Natamago young, the Natamago young. Biniske Ma Chisarkaigan ma Besho young or Mrs. Arkaigan. Ske Manitu ma ya happy winter moatan on Shanaben ma Danakin. The McQuedman gave in sugar and a bean dark who'd get on Shanabem. Skeko our Housekeeping only tower synagogue get Mima kina we went and dashamat no money to my anagen master gining. Miko gave ma gay nekata of Sema. Biniske with him. Ministanakwang or Chiwabiski with a Yamagat Miga with a Ipisa gave it, the Ipi winter market gave in our money to my Adma Wabiski, we not a water on Shanab and the Mikoinament. Gave in a binda could you get on the Shanabe Makea. Ke ma ke pagista moana se man we wenenge winanga. Oh manito. Ske ne poange manito ke au ske ke ange ki benuti menanegam. Ayao can go manito winter se wena mate can au benuti and Tershamawan ko ipiwicha awata no. Anishanabe benuti and me was and go. Giabe sugo. Me and go me quest the waka she winter gas the waka. That happened to give a gay winawa. Get a smart gay and go and then opposite of Sema and Napiwat and go Manitoga. The Natamago Suman Gigoma, Besho to be Shamagastano. Wapen does among Aquas a winner. Gigoma, we in the gas in our Nishanabe. Gene Boam Aquas and Dashanjigate, my Bamadisi Maka. The Natamago Suman brushing go Manitoga. With the Pakana good it in the Nasangeo. Akusawan Gego Matabi Shamagastanona. Nako Gaya Sema me with the gay Nikat Gaya O. Manito Oka Bibuni Kay Shawin and Skego Pita again don't go Mata Betakushimona. Get that Apnan gave in a no Seman. Natamago sing we went to Tagunanda Natamagunana au Manito. Get a scare. Mikoma going go Guneshman in the Gaki, get a scene. We went go do to Banana can go Manito. Came minutos ago and go and knock on the gay water no way when a coema say man. A Savata mio Nishanabe. Gashikano Magu said in Nishigade. Way man no get out, we went in the do to water no money dona. Get a smashata. Then just come up what is the wind out of the young. Now go gay mom. Miko and this Sugasaki Bakak Nake. And it took Waka Ganab Chikasawat and Geogi Mishumis and Anag. Now go gay go commissionan market the hour nanam. Ske Nepa no Gibakichikan nan and Nasema. Pinasho we steno and now go gay. Meshkadunakan with the Nishata. In Ishawat and Napiwat and Gao Manitoga. Gave me Maka again, then again, and Nishna be young way when then I can't wait to go so young. Can he gone him in long me go ma? Sugar me no water. The queeding the nab and the nabamendo go on, he gone a chicken, he gone a jigger. The Bimu to what our Nishana baby bombs the wind. We went to go ma, die knock on the game ma. Went to our nungo ma. Guy nabamin the neboa, okay, kenamana. And no, they back when the gauge them. Mane pa mat bin the gesh kata o meshkaduna gun gaye. Migo mamene ken we tu an migwech bisen dawo yeg migo yo.
Miigwech Obazan. Before we begin, I have some other items to mention. On your table, you'll find an annual report, which is comprised of summaries of achievements this past year for each department within the executive branch. Additional reports will be available in the community center starting January 17th, 2024. There's also a calendar, a 2024 calendar for you. For those of you who have not done so yet, there are gifts in the foyer for you to pick up. The gift table is now closed, but will be open after lunch. We'll ask you to remain seated during each speaker's address. After the address, lunch will be provided by the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. Elders will be served at their tables first, and then the banquet staff will release tables in order for a buffet-style meal. Also, you will notice there are some beautiful centerpieces at each of the tables. As a custom, these centerpieces are reserved for elders to take at today's completion of the event. Next, I would like to recognize the Mille Lacs Band elected officials. The Honorable Chief Executive, Melanie Benjamin. The Honorable Secretary Treasurer, Sheldon Boyd. The Honorable District 1 Representative, Virgil Wynn. The Honorable District 2 Representative, Wendy Merle. Did Wendy step out? And the Honorable District 3 Representative, Harry Davis. I also want to recognize Associate Justice Rhonda Sam of the Mille Lacs Band Court of Appeals.
Chief Justice.
Oh, the Chief Justice now. Sorry. I'm now pleased to introduce our national anthem singer, Tori Petit. Is he here? I know Tori was kind of struggling with some of the weather that we're experiencing, so I think he's still en route. Unfortunately, I do believe we have Plan B in place. Right? Tell me yes. So do I got to sing this? No.
Okay, good enough. Now we'll move on. Let's just move on.
Okay. So if we...
Let's move on. Oh, they're going to play it?
Please stand. As I said, sometimes things just don't go the way you wanted them to, but you just keep moving forward. I'm honored at this time to introduce the Honorable Sheldon Boyd, Secretary and Treasurer and Speaker for the Mille Lacs Band Assembly.
Good morning, everyone, travelers and elected officials and honored guests, to the Anishinaabe that are here and to our Indigenous brothers and sisters worldwide. Again, on behalf of the legislative branch of the Mille Lacs Band, I say bonjour and good morning, and I hope this day finds you well. So far, the winter has been forgiving. The days are getting longer, faster, and the darkness is beginning to give way. This is the 40th annual State of the Band, where the first State of the Band was in 1982. And today we begin our 5th decade of the Assembly. We all come here this morning to hear Madam Chief Melanie Benjamin and Chief Justice Rhonda Sam report to the Band Assembly their annual State of the Band and State of the Judiciary addresses. Under band law, their respective reports are made to members of the Assembly, which consists of District Representatives Virgil Wind, Wendy Merrill, and Harry Davis, and with myself as Secretary-Treasurer as Speaker of the Assembly, and this is the second Tuesday of every calendar year. I had a few things to say before calling to order the Assembly, and it's the young people I had in mind while I was thinking about what I was going to say today. And I do this because along with the common uncertainties that face all youth, our Anishinaabe youth are facing a world where the meaning and identity of our history and culture just aren't there. The greater media and educational systems have been a danger to us and have tried to systematically destroy indigenous peoples, our language, and our cultures. This is the world our youth is facing, where the crises that face all people today, like drugs, violence, and suicide, are disproportionately so much higher in Native communities. To our youth, you are strong and smart. So, to the younger people, just quickly, what are we doing here? Right? Where's our place in all this? Okay? Sovereigns are nations. There are 11 recognized tribal sovereign nations within the territory of the sovereign state of Minnesota. During Sovereign Day at the state capitol last March of last year, there were leaders from 11 tribes and leaders from the state of Minnesota in one room one afternoon. I realized that among the 13 sovereigns in the room that day, the youngest sovereign was the state of Minnesota. And the next youngest is the United States of America. And the oldest sovereigns by far in this territory were the 11 tribal nations. And to the young people here, you are part of those oldest sovereign nations. We've been on these lands and waterways for a very long time, since time immemorial is the word they used. That day in March, the older sovereigns were continuing the education of state leaders because of an education system that lacks complete content on local history. This one-to-one education has been going on for hundreds of years. My son, Shell Jr., told me one day that he asked his teacher, he said, why the U.S. Constitution uses the word savage, savages for Indian people, okay? And since it's a living document, uses is the proper term here. He told me his teacher said, because of all the inventions and other things that were around at that time. That's fine. His teacher was going with, what they know. And he said, why do you think they use that word, Dad? I asked him for a minute, and then I told him, I think maybe they use that word to make us and other people of color less than, so they can treat us any way they want and still feel good about living up to the words, all men were created equal. He said, I like your answer better. Many people in this room have never visualized the concept of nations spread across this Turtle Island, say, 1,000 years ago. Vast linguistic groups with dialects, nations within those languages, different tribes within those nations, communities and villages completely filling this land. So to the youth, where is your place? Your place in all this is where you stand. And those 13 sovereigns that day, last March, have a common connection that's here today. But I'll come back to that. Just quickly, to the youth, allow me to please update to the youth and membership 3 things about the legislature, then investments, and then I'll close looking forward. First of all, I'd like to thank all the people I work with where record keeping, appropriation of funds, passing resolutions, and lawmaking are part of a group of leaders. No one person runs everything in this legislative branch. We're not built that way. Parliamentarian and Clerk of the Assembly Darcy Bigbear, Deanna Sam, Deputy Registrar, Hannah Valento, Reviser of Statutes, Samir Kimpson, Legislative Coordinator, and we welcome Jared Miller, Staff Attorney. Now, these are the permanent employees meant to provide institutional knowledge for future elected officials, making these people there the legislative branch. In addition, there's Brianna Boyd and Valerie Harrington Wind, who serve with myself, Secretary Treasurer. Commissioner of Finance Mel Toll, Katie Radons, Chris Waite, Joni Wall, and the OMB staff. They must be recognized because regardless of days off and weather closures, the checks go out and business continues. A special thanks goes out to Adam Candler and Joseph Jensen, whose paths have taken them elsewhere, and we miss you. To all these people, my coworkers, I'll remember this time of my life with great fondness and pride. Okay, now to explain what's happening in sessions of Band Assembly for the purposes today of the youth. Okay, accountability. First, those attending sessions of Band Assembly have or viewed the on live stream. There are established protocols that are tedious and repetitive. The rules of Band Assembly, we are doing the people's business. These processes combined with live streaming show the legislature is committed to being as accountable as possible for each and every item that comes before the Assembly for consideration and approval by the district representatives. Legislative staff, including myself as Speaker, are there to provide the best possible support to aid the 3 district representatives while carrying out their legislative duties. That's our job. I really think accountability has never been better, and the acceptance by the rules by the elected officials make all this work. We do have ideas to get better at this, and there's always room for improvement, and that will drive increased accountability. I'll be calling the first session of the 21st Assembly to order shortly. So again, to the youth, what is an assembly? What are the sessions? Okay? These terms give structure to the terms of the elected officials and keep track of time. They allow for changes in power. The assemblies, or gathering of people, are 2 years long. Also, the U.S. Congress is like this. In the Congress, there are 2 sessions for each assembly, but here we have 4 sessions within each assembly. The 4 sessions here, and I asked around, represent the 4 directions, the 4 colors, and the 4 seasons, those teachings within stories. There's been additional structure added to the sessions under the rules of Band Assembly by having no new business carryover between sessions. This provides a new representative a clean slate, so to speak, when taking office, and provides a set timetable to pass meaningful legislation to promote the general welfare of the people during each term. Now, the Tribal General Welfare Exclusion Act of 2014. To all Mille Lacs members, take time to review your monthly statements from OMB. As part of monthly direct cash disbursements, the Tribal General Welfare Exclusion Act monies are part of the amended Internal Revenue Code to exclude from gross income and for income tax purposes a value of an Indian general welfare benefit. Commissioner of Finance Mel Toll created the TGWE program locally, thereby taking advantage of that 2014 law, making possible the added financial benefits to each band member receiving those monthly payments. So, what's that mean? Okay? Many indigenous peoples today were forcibly removed to remote lands away from their historic prime homelands. Today, those areas are now populated with commercial centers and where public tax monies provide benefits in public transportation and services. Reservations are a place to put the Indians, yet tribes are taxed at the same rate. The TGWE monies are a recognition of that historic situation. Okay. Now, just quickly, investments. Again, this position of Secretary Treasurer and Speaker of the Assembly is about two things: facilitating the lawmaking process by chairing sessions of Band Assembly and being tasked with the financial security of the people. Concerning investments for economic security of the band, I will be brief for now. The Investment Committee has finished its first year of meetings, but there's a lot of work to do there. The band's contracted investment advisor, Veris Investments, has begun quarterly reports through the Institutional Investment Committee. The band's investments, the people's economic security, has never been as closely scrutinized with the best interests of the people as a priority. Being part of this first year and becoming familiar with those processes has been a life-changing experience for me, and I will be forever grateful for this duty entrusted to me by you, the people. Moving forward, all elected officials of the band will now have more clear information and financial forecasting than ever before. The financial course of the band will be done with eyes wide open, no excuses. This is what the Secretary-Treasurer is supposed to do. Now, stories are good. When I was a young man, these older guys from different places were talking at a meeting, and one guy said, some people cast their knowledge, while others talk in circles. Stories. There are stories of runners that were sent out to speak to other tribes about things, getting to know them as statesmen. They were young and strong and knew what was going on and speak or understand different languages and understand the world. They kept leadership and the people knowledgeable and safe on many different levels. They must have been exceptional people to move into those positions, leaders in training. It's that same way now when people travel, even though sometimes people make fun of that, but the reasoning is the same. Those travelers getting experience, becoming knowledgeable of neighboring tribes, and now the state and Washington, D.C., keeping the people aware and safe. Our nation continues to operate as it always has. There is continuity. We've been here since time immemorial. Global warming and the Winnebago water story, for example. Our youthful men and women, the strongest, fastest, and smartest, who were there to fight and protect everybody long ago, to meet all dangers head on. Those same ones are going to face with dangers facing our people today, powerful drugs and violence, and many have perished. There's continuity. Our youthful men and women are now among the strongest and fastest and smartest who now seek the language. And through language, keep the stories and ceremonies alive one more day. There is continuity. I heard an older guy say, just like each kind of bird was given the gift of its own sound and songs by the Creator, so it is with men who were given the gift of their languages and songs. Which reminds me of two older guys, my Uncle Jim and my dad, Raining Boyd. One was a teacher, and the other one was a truck driver, a realist. My Uncle Jim was quoted as saying, "Without language, we are descendants of the Anishinaabe." And my dad said, just because a guy talks Indian doesn't mean he knows what he's talking about. They were buddies, if you couldn't tell that one. Our financial investments may be economic security for the coming generations, but money can be spent. But there is continuity, a generational resonance in language and tradition. To our young people, there are dangers ahead. There are many that refuse to acknowledge our presence as nations since time immemorial because they're not learning that in school, and that's a problem. And when those people get into positions of power, our young and strong must run to meet them, educate them like we have for hundreds of years. And those people will keep coming like waves on the shore. We must not be complacent. We must cast our knowledge. The old people told stories where the young thunders are the loud crashing ones, while the old thunders are the one you can feel more than you can hear. My mom used the word monadu at different times to describe different things, expanding my personal understanding of that word each time. One time in particular, she called a panther that word while she was watching a nature show. My dad told me the story of a Wan or Sioux woman who was in danger of being chased by soldiers. She was told by a voice above to make a drum and taught songs to sing. He said, when the soldiers came to destroy them, the captain of those soldiers disobeyed orders and said he wasn't going to kill those people because they were dancing and having a good time. The songs and the dancing kept the destroyers away, and the people kept living. That's the drum like that one sitting over there with us this morning. That's what all those sovereign nations had in common that day last March. Stories, just stories. Today I see beautiful jingle dresses, young people dancing, and hear songs and everyone being happy. I also see sickness, death, and many people dying too young. Our enemies, sicknesses, the destroyers. Maybe they'll leave us alone again too if we keep dancing and having a good time like in that story. Maybe all we really can take with us is stories, songs. Language and stories are energy. Or as my mom might say, monadu. To our youth, stay humble and be kind. Miigwech. Oh, miigwech. Please. Thank you. Okay, miigwech. Let me call to order now the first session of the 21st Assembly at Neyashing on Tuesday, January 9th. Is there a time, please?
11:14 a.m.
11:14 a.m. Madam Parliamentarian Big Bear, roll call, please.
District 1 Representative Virgil Wind.
Here.
District 2 Representative Wendy Merrill.
Here.
And District 3 Representative Harry Davis.
Way over here.
We have a quorum.
Miigwech Speaker Boyd and Parliamentary Darcy Big Bear. At this time, I'm honored to introduce Chief Justice from District 1, Rhonda Sam.
Nagi zuko indishin nikas Mississauga iganing nindunjiba. Anin Bujo, good morning, Chief Executive Benjamin, Speaker Boyd, District Representatives of the Band Assembly, Mille Lacs Band members, employees, and guests. It is a new year and a good day for all of us to come together for this occasion. It is my duty and privilege to deliver the State of the Band, Mille Lacs Band Judiciary Address. Our theme for this year is change and progress. As our judicial system constantly evolves, so does our judiciary. Today, I am delivering the Judiciary Address as the Chief Justice of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. Many of you know me as Rhonda Sam from District 1. What? Oh. It is good to see everyone. Sylvia Wise resigned earlier mid-year 2023 from the Chief Justice role. Miigwech Sylvia for your service and Judiciary branch. We all appreciate your work and contributions. I was appointed to take on the role of the Associate Justice in March of 2022. With Sylvia Wise's resignation, the Chief Justice role became available. After careful consideration with the other two justices, we decided that I would take on this crucial role, which I take very seriously. I appreciate your assistance and input of the two other justices that make up the Court of Appeals, the District 2 Justice Brenda Moose, and our newest member, District 3 Associate Justice Bernita Humatwa. Please rise and be recognized. I look forward to working with you both in 2024 and beyond. Other areas of change is the absence of the District Court Judge. Richard Osborne, the former District Court Judge, moved in October 2023. He served the band well while he was here for 3 years of his 6-year term. Miigwech Judge Osborne. Since there has been a 3-month lapse, the court is thankful and depend on our 3 special magistrates, Tammy Swenson, B.J. Jones, and Joe Plummer, in helping the court manage the dockets. Currently, the Chief Executive is vetting several candidates for the vacant District Court judgeship. When that progress is complete, the Chief Executive will send the prospective candidates to Band Assembly to start the confirmation and ratification processes. We look forward to the day that the new District Court Judge begins their appointment to the Judiciary. Highlights of the court. I will offer some highlights of the court. The Family Healing to Wellness Court. In addition to the Judiciary change in 2023 has brought about adjustments to the Wigwaming. I'm having trouble with these words. And a while, yeah, Healing Court. Family to Wellness Court. As you may recall, the Wellness Court is a 12 to 18-month program for participants of band children who are the subject of a child protection matter in the Mille Lacs Band district court and are having a difficult time staying substance-free. It is a voluntary confidential program that uses a term of professionalism to coordinate the services and resources needed to help the parent in their recovery journey so that they may reunify with their children. I can't say that word, began accepting applications in October 2022 and had 2 participants by the first week of November. Since that time, the wellness team has learned that a great deal of their first year as to what is working for the participants, the team, and the court. As you may recall, the court was awarded a 5-year grant by the Bureau of the Justice Assistance Agency. The grant, there is funding available to send the team to training with the National Assistance of the Drug Court Professionals and to the Tribal Healing to Wellness Court Enhancement Training, which was held by the Tribal Law and Policy Institute, as known as the TLPI. Fortunately, TLPI is also a training and technical assistance providers for the Healing to Wellness Court grant for recipients. The wellness team has several conferences, calls, or Zoom meetings with the technical assistance providers and was informed that our current phase arrangement is much like an adult criminal drug court. Instead of the family healing to wellness court, the program is sound and structured well. However, as of November, the team realized that it had to enhance areas when they noticed the shortcomings and to fit the design of the family wellness court. Therefore, the wellness team recently had a workshop to address what was working and what was not, and what needs enhancement. The 4-year phase design will still be required, such as drug testing, checking in daily, and attending status hearings with the tobacco, cedar, sage, and sweetgrass phases. Our intent is to add milestones that are determined by the participant in each phase, empowering the participant with ownership of their own healing. For example, the participant may determine in the tobacco phase they only want to concentrate on staying sober and nothing else. However, when they get to the sage phase, that they may want to work on obtaining their license or mending relationships with a family member. The participant will realize that they have a voice in their own healing journey and is not just a team or the court telling them what they need to do. It became a true team approach similar to that of a wraparound system. Eventually, when the team determines that the rework is complete, the team will meet with the steering committee to present the overall outcome later in the year. Another area that the team wants to enhance after attending the TLPI training is to infuse culture into each level of the phases for the participant. Each member of the team agrees that the team is working on a design on how to make this happen. Though the team introduces the 7 values smudges and offers a prayer at every staffing, more needs to be offered for the participant, more to explore in 2024. The team also learned that the TLPI enhancement training, that the band could ask for a waiver from the BJA grant in allowing violent offenders into the program so that the program would not have to turn these potential participants away, as they too may need healing and want to reunify with their own children. This will be researched in 2024 and, if necessary, may seek a change in the eligibility requirements within our own laws. There is a statement that is known in the substance use program and in the Healing to Wellness Court, which is the team should not work harder than the participant. The court administrator, Gilda Burr, has mentioned that the team has a deep commitment to the participants and that enter the wellness court. They will work hard as a whole and are leading the change for the program to be successful. Each team member comes from different disciplines and provides input and guide to the participant in their wellness journey. The team has a better understanding of how they interrelate with one another by removing the silos and communicating between the disciplines. They are guided by the profession, but lead with their hearts from the humanistic viewpoint. They promote the healing of the participant by celebrating success made by the participants, such as long-term sobriety, getting a job, reaching phases, achievements, or addressing the needs to change negative behavior by encouraging pushes for improvement. The team generally wants to participate to succeed. I could ask the Family Healing to Wellness team, if they are in the audience, please stand and be recognized. Miigwech. Though the team puts in a great deal of effort, it is the participants that are actually doing the hard work, frequently checking in with the case manager and social worker, attending sober support meetings, providing drug testing, working with case plans, and appearing in front of the court status hearings and any other challenges put in front of them. It is with these participants that they put in the hard work. They are looking to enhance their lives. In 1 year, we have had 16 individuals interested or have asked about the program. 11 individuals applied to the program. 7 accepted into the program. However, 1 did not show for the acceptance hearing. The other individual was discharged for non-engagement. Unfortunately, one participant is deceased and the other has been terminated. Currently, we have 3 individuals at various phases, with 2 in phase 3 and 1 in phase 1. Healing to Wellness Court has learned much of the first year, will strive to continue their work in 2024. Any changes to the program will be reflected in the handbook or policy manual. Court rules. Over the last 2 years, our former court attorney, Jill Tompkins, diligently worked on the reorganization of the Chief Justice orders and rules of the appellate court and separating out the judicial codes of ethics and the bar rules. The Associate Justice and I will wait until such time as a new district court judge is in place and has had time to review the reorganization of their input. Therefore, I will present the changes to band assembly in the coming months. I need a drink of water. The goal of the Tribal Court Administration in 2024 and 2025 fiscal year is to overhaul the clerk of court manuals as it is outdated from 2009. Some processes have changed and statutes have amended. Therefore, the clerk's manual must also reflect those changes. The clerk should have a specific set of instructions for each participant, particular case type. This is especially important in a multi-clerk office where there may be overlapping duties. Our clerk's manual have been updated based upon immediate input. However, the court administration will be doing an overhaul of the clerk's manuals to offer specific guidelines to make the clerk's job easier and for the continued of the record keeping. When our new district judge is on board, we will be able to establish updated and new procedures according to the laws and the court rules. The Court of Central Jurisdiction has a need to grow with the times. The new judge will step in at the right time to lead and assist these developments. Court statistics. The Central Court of Jurisdiction continues to hear civil, criminal, family, and law hearings, healing to wellness court cases, all totaling 1,098 cases, which was filed in 2023. There has been little growth in court cases from one year to the next, which could be perceived as a blessing. The court closed 1,103 cases, which included carryover from past years. The total number of hearings were held were 1,426, and 2,402 orders were issued by the court. These statistics indicate that the Court of Central Jurisdiction is continually busy and is serving the community. In closing, I ask you all in 2024 to think about changes or progress you may want to make in your own life. I pray that you all find dear to your heart that gives you the drive to fight for something that you truly care about, as the wellness team has done for the Healing to Wellness Court, and the participants or individuals making these great strides in their own recovery and wellness journey. They have made a dedicated decision for change, evolution in their own lives. I applaud their efforts. Miigwech. This will conclude the Judiciary address.
Miigwech, Chief Justice Rhonda Sam. This year's State of the Band, we have visiting elected officials from local, state, and the federal government that we'd like to recognize. I'd like to recognize our visiting dignitaries who made it here today. I ask that after I read the dignitaries, we hold our applause until the end. Dignitaries that we have are Kathy Chavers, Chairwoman from Boys Fort, President of MCT. Travis Morrison, District Representative, Boys Fort. Farron Jackson, Chairman, Leech Lake. Rick Benjamin, St. Croix Tribal Chair, Tribal Council. Patrick Keller, Amy Klobuchar's office. Kristen Bernstein, Tina Smith's office. Andy Luger, U.S. Attorney's Office. Rachel Crocker, U.S. Attorney's Office. Alex Skimetz, U.S. Attorney's Office. Sinjin Kanasatega, U.S. Attorney's Office, Mille Lacs Band member. Julie Blaha, Minnesota Auditor. Bettina Park, Director of the Office of Tribal State Relations. Scott Veely, Executive Director of MAST. Melanie Franks, Minnesota Department of Education. Corey Strong, Minnesota Housing Finance. Levi Brown, Minnesota Department DOT. Judge Gail Kulik and staff from Mille Lacs County. Leah, Mark, Perry, and Don from City of Hinckley. Joe Bering, City of Onamia, Jennifer Ernest, Isle Schools, Jackie and Andy from Mille Lacs Health System, Brian Von der Ding Initiative Foundation, sorry about that. Jill Brown, NXL, and sorry if I missed anybody. And I need glasses, so.
Do the beginning part where there's Steve Primo and stuff right on the top. See it there? Your list?
Want this one right here?
Yeah.
Chimigwech to Steve Primo for the artwork that he has provided, that we're proud of the artwork and for the artwork that he's done for the State of the Band since 2000. So big applause for Steve Primo. And Steve, can you stand? Steve Primo? Chimigwech. Miigwech for joining us today. At this time, we will hear from U.S. Senators Tina Smith and Amy Klobuchar.
Hello, everyone. I'm U.S. Senator Tina Smith, and I am so delighted to be able to join you today in this video. Last year, I joined you in person at the State of the Band, and it was my great honor to do so. So, hello to the leadership and the members of the Mille Lacs Band, and I hope you have a great State of the Band. I see our government-to-government relationship as one of the most important aspects of my job. And to that end, I look forward to working with you to get funding for the Isle Water Project, and also to work together to continue to hold federal agencies accountable for their obligations and responsibilities to Indian country. I benefit every single day from my close relationship with your Chief Executive, Melanie Benjamin. Melanie and I have been friends and allies for many years, and I am so grateful for her mentorship and support here in the United States Senate. And I know that Melanie plays an extremely important role at the national level, representing not only Mille Lacs, but Native people in Indian country all across the country. I know that this year, Melanie has been incredibly busy working on the Self-Governance Negotiated Rulemaking Committee. And in that role, she is doing great work for all of you in Minnesota and really Native people all over the country. So I wish you a fantastic State of the Band, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you so much.
Hello to everyone gathered for the 40th Annual Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe State of the Band Address. I wish I could be there with you in person, but there's just a few things keeping us busy in Washington, as you know. Thank you to Chief Executive Melanie Benjamin for her leadership in the band and everything you do, Melanie, to champion Native women leaders everywhere, not just in Minnesota. I know you have been instrumental in working to get Deb Haaland confirmed as the first Native American Secretary of the Interior. I also want to thank Secretary Treasurer Sheldon Boyd and District Representatives Virgil Wind, Wendy Merrill, and Harry Davis. I've always believed that Minnesota's strength comes from the diversity of our people. Our state owes so much to the Mille Lacs Band. You're one of Minnesota's top 50 employers, providing over 4,000 jobs. You have made a direct impact on the lives of countless Minnesotans, both Native Americans and others in our state, by donating millions to law enforcement, educational institutions, hospitals, and other important organizations. You're a national leader on issues like advocating for treaty rights, economic development, and of course, tribal sovereignty. That's why I'm focused on making sure you have the support you need to thrive for generations to come. I made sure that this year's Senate budget includes funding for your Isle City Water Project, and I'm fighting to make sure that this funding makes it into the final bill that passes Congress. This investment will go towards connecting Mille Lacs Band members with safe, clean water. And while building out our tribal nation's physical infrastructure is so important, we can't talk about infrastructure without talking about broadband. As co-chair of the bipartisan Senate Broadband Caucus, I've always believed that if they can have high-speed internet in Iceland, a country with active volcanoes that spew lava, Maybe, just maybe, we can get it for our tribal nations. 18% of people on tribal lands don't have broadband, compared to just 4% elsewhere in the country. This gap is unacceptable, and we need to close it. This isn't just about streaming the new Trevor Noah special on Netflix, as fun as that is. It's also about local businesses reaching customers, patients accessing healthcare, and students succeeding in school. I will always remember hearing from a tribal member who told me that when they got Wi-Fi at their home, kids from the neighborhood would gather in the front yard so they could do their homework because they had nowhere else to do it. That's why I successfully fought to secure historic investments in the bipartisan infrastructure law to deliver high-speed internet to every zip code in America. The bill includes a game-changing $650 million grant to build out broadband across Minnesota and provides financial support for families with lower incomes, including as much as $75 a month for tribal members. I also secured a critical targeted investment for the Mille Lacs Band to install more than 230 miles of fiber optic cable. Because in 2024, Wi-Fi isn't just nice to have, it's a necessity. I'll keep fighting to make sure all of our tribal nations can get connected and thrive. Throughout my time in the Senate, it's been a privilege to work with and learn from you. One of the Ojibwe philosophies that has always resonated with me is the belief that great leaders make decisions not just for today, but for 7 generations from now. That's why as we look ahead to the new year and years to come, I'm committed to continuing to work with you, government to government, to uplift Minnesota's tribal nations and ensure tribal sovereignty is recognized and respected. Thank you for all the work you do. I look forward to visiting you soon. Enjoy the rest of the event.
Miigwech to Senator Klobuchar and Senator Smith. They're strong supporters for the band. Please, Patrick and Kristen, take back our words and our thank yous for their support. I know that you guys' offices are always open when we visit DC and always listen to our concerns and our needs here at the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. Please note that the Chief Executive also has a special presentation to make immediately following her speech. And now, in accordance with Title IV, Section 6I of the Mille Lacs Band statutes, which are the law of the band, we will now hear the State of the Band address by the Honorable Chief Executive Melanie Benjamin.
Do I need to put this down? Oops. Oh, so much better. Just wanted to start out by saying miigwech to all the speakers before me and the great messages that they presented to us. And I just wanted to show you my speech. This is the actual speech, by the way. Buju Anina Nishnabe Duke, Mino Gijigad Nungum, Mandam and Indigenous Cause, Melanie Benjamin. Mr. Speaker, members of the Band Assembly, and the Honorable Justices. Welcome to the 40th Annual State of the Band Address. Miigwech to Obazan for speaking on our behalf so we can begin in a good way. Miigwech to the ceremonial drum and Wabishki Benes for setting the dish. Miigwech to the Mille Lacs All veterans for posting the flags and to the singers today. Welcome tribal leaders, honored guests, employees, and friends. And most important, welcome to my fellow citizens of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. Non-removable, by the way. As in the past years, there is an annual report on your table. So much has been accomplished in 2023. There is not enough time to talk about it in just 1 hour. The annual report is a detailed accounting of the programs and services that the executive branch provided in 2023. Band members, please take this home. Look through it. There could be services or programs you don't know about that you might be eligible for. Mr. Speaker and members of the Band Assembly, enormous work went into this report. By delivering this report to you, I have carried out my statutory duty to inform you about the state of the band. It is now your duty as legislators to learn what is in this report, and let's schedule a future meeting with the commissioners so you can ask any questions you still have. Miigwech to you for all of your work and our work together this past year. Today is a historic day. Today marks the 40th anniversary of the first State of the Band address delivered by our great Chief Executive, Arthur Gabo, in 1982. 40 years. This also marks the 25th anniversary of our 1837 treaty rights victory in the U.S. Supreme Court. I stand before you today with a profound sense of gratitude, pride, and responsibility as we look back on the amazing journey we have taken together as a sovereign Indian nation. Over the centuries, we faced many challenges, even attempted genocide. But today we gather here not only as survivors, but architects of our own destiny. Everywhere we look, we can see progress, from our growing economy to our educational achievements, from language preservation to the health and well-being of our people. We must be the architects of a future that not only honors the dreams of our ancestors, but builds upon them, expanding the horizons of possibility for all. 2023 was a huge year for the band, so I want to dive right into summarizing our biggest achievements on your behalf. The Anji Bamadazin program continues to be one of the best in the United States. 496 youth participated in Anji last year. 704 adult band members were served by programs such as workforce training and development. They received help with overcoming barriers to employment, finding childcare, getting education, and family support. People are getting jobs and succeeding. Some clients are now making $54 an hour in construction jobs, and $81 an hour if you do overtime. Anji has also helped expand our language use through several programs. Many years ago, Elder Jim Clark said that he could remember way back when he was young, when there was talk about how important it was for our people to learn English. He said that now, in just 2 generations, we have turned 360 degrees. He said that now we need our people to learn Ojibwe. Over all of the years I've served as chief executive, I have tried to make sure we provide opportunities to learn our language. We have tried many new programs, but the most successful might be our Rosetta Stone partnership. Rosetta Stone has put our language on the map. Tribes all over the Great Lakes region, in Canada, and even California are using our Rosetta Stone program. This only happened because someone took a bold step. Babita Boyd fought hard for this and took a few punches along the way. But her work was an example of doing something new and bold and following our teachings. And in case you haven't heard, the Disney Corporation is now making a Star Wars movie in our Ojibwe language. In the area of education across the nation and right here at home, students are struggling with mental health and wellness. Last year, I directed that we work to provide more mental health services to our youth. Through a partnership with Health and Human Services, our middle and high school students can now access therapists and wellness coaches at school. We have made it easier for our youth to get help when they need it. Oshki Majitada, which is our alternate learning program, is growing and graduating more students. Last but not least, we broke ground on a new early childhood center in Hinckley to serve our future warrior band members. I am pleased to report that we have a new Commissioner of Administration. Commissioner Samuel Moose, please stand up to be recognized. Miigwech. For those of you who do not know Sam, he spent 17 years working for the Mille Lacs Band. 14 of those years were in commissioner positions in Health and Human Services and Community Development. Every now and then, elected leaders make poor decisions. Several years ago, a very poor decision was made by a previous band assembly, and Sam became available for hire. From the moment the news hit the Moccasin Telegraph, other employees were beating down Sam's door with competing offers. He could have gone anywhere, but he wanted to be close to home. Our loss was Fond du Lac's gain. Sam spent the past 7 years leading their health department. But after years of success at Fond du Lac, we were able to convince Sam to return home and work for the Mille Lacs Band again. If I have not already embarrassed Sam, I know I'm going to embarrass him really now, because Sam is a very humble person. So Sam, just tune out a few minutes while I brag about you. Sam Moose knows how to get things done. As a young commissioner, Sam became a national leader in self-governance and the Indian Health Service. Sam was a visionary behind our beautiful new clinic in District 1 and providing clinic services in District 2 and 3. Sam is an outstanding advocate for band members at the state capitol and with the U.S. Congress and administration. Sam is well known in the United States as a national leader in Indian health and highly respected by state and federal officials. In fact, the federal government has him serving on 3 national boards. And he is also trusted by tribes nationwide. He serves on the National Indian Health Board and the American Indian Cancer Foundation. Sam is a thoughtful, mature, highly educated leader. He has brought back stability back to the band, so we are so fortunate to have him here. Some of my pride about Sam is because I am the one who recruited him as a leader almost 20 years ago. I saw talent in Sam while he was working at the DNR, and I decided he was someone to watch. When I learned that Sam had earned his degree, I recruited him for leadership. I chose Sam as a commissioner. Band members, we are very fortunate to have Sam Moose as our Commissioner of Administration. Welcome home, Sam. In administration this year, operations and services were streamlined, which means we now have more jobs available than ever. Please check the job postings often, because if you are a responsible person who is willing to work, we have a job for you. In Health and Human Services, last year I spoke about our need for more foster families to come forward. We need so many more. We currently have 77 children in band custody cases and 81 children in county cases, but we only have 32 band licensed foster homes. We need more foster care families, especially relatives. I want to acknowledge a foster family who I recently talked with. This couple has been a foster family for over 30 years to our band children, sometimes having up to 20 kids at a time. They have committed their lives to our children. They spoke to me about how being foster parents can be hard at times, but it is also so rewarding. When this couple talked about seeing the kids they fostered grow up into healthy, successful adults, there was pure joy on their faces. If you have room in your home and in your heart, please think about becoming a foster parent. In natural resources this past year, much of my time and Commissioner Kelly Applegate's time has been focused on a proposed nickel mine. The site is just 1.3 miles from our Round Lake neighborhood in District 2. Protecting our people, land, water, and resources from the possible threats of a nickel mine has been a top priority. On March 14th, we launched our Water Over Nickel campaign to spread the word about prioritizing clean water over nickel mining. Many band members were excited about the billboards we have put up, and our yard signs are in high demand. We are also gaining many new allies from the surrounding communities, the state, and the nation. Commissioner Applegate and I, along with our team, have been in constant talks with the Department of Energy, the Army Corps of Engineers, the United States Geological Survey, and the Department of Interior to make sure the government upholds its trust responsibility to protect our homelands. I have had several meetings with the U.S. Secretary of Energy, the Secretary of Interior, and the White House about this issue, and of course, members of Congress. We have yet to see any science or data to show that nickel mining can be done safely. Yet the mining company continues to expand the exploration activities beyond its original plans and beyond the original area outlined in the application it submitted. Indian country has seen this before, a modest proposal that quickly swells in size and scope, leaving damage in its wake. When Minnesotans hear about nickel mining is the solution to creating clean and green energy, I encourage everyone to remain cautious and skeptical. Every day we see new alternatives to support electric vehicles. Research has showed that metal recycling could meet between 37% to 91% of the demand of these minerals. Other products like lithium are options too. Also, this is not just about Mille Lacs or the Minnesota issue. The entire world is watching this project, and international companies and organizations are involved with pushing it forward. So we have to make sure that our strategy also includes educating the international community. The band was invited in September to talk about environmental justice at a carbon capture conference in Iceland. The mining company was also there and on the agenda. People from across the globe who knew about the Tamarack project did not know that we existed or had concerns about this project. For some, that information was a game changer. Later, people wanted to know how they could learn more and even help. In late November, I got a call from the former president of the National Congress of American Indians, who is a friend. She knew about our Water Over Nickel campaign. She called to ask if I could help represent National Congress of American Indians at a meeting of the United Nations. It was the UN's 2023 Climate Change Conference in Dubai. NCAI sponsored this trip, so I agreed to attend. I joined over 300 indigenous delegates from around the world for what was called the International Indigenous Peoples Forum on Climate Change. Under the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, we are stakeholders with international rights. The purpose of this forum was to make sure that indigenous rights are not sidelined during climate change negotiations. I made sure to share our concerns about protecting our water. There were other indigenous women leaders from the Pacific Islands who talked about how oceans are rising, and if this world continues as it is, their communities will no longer exist. Here at home, our band is also looking at our future existence through the lens of enrollment. Right now, we have just under 5,000 enrolled Mille Lacs Band citizens. The Minnesota Chippewa tribe has been talking about blood quantum requirements. There will be a referendum vote at some point in the future when you will be asked to decide whether you want to change enrollment criteria. I think every band member who is a grandparent has at least one grandchild who cannot get enrolled with the Mille Lacs Band due to the blood quantum requirements. In 2014, the Minnesota Chippewa tribe had a blood quantum study done that predicted that what would happen to each of the band's populations if no changes were made to the current blood quantum rules. The study predicted that our Mille Lacs Band enrollment would continue to climb until the year 2038, another 14 years from now, but would begin to sharply decline after that. Eventually, we could lose 60% of our members, but other bands were predicted to lose 90% of their membership and one day may not exist. At one of the many community meetings I held on this topic, a band member asked about updating the study from 2014. That was a great idea, so we are redoing that blood quantum study just for our band. As of today, more than 500 band members have completed a survey. To each of you, miigwech, and if you have not filled out your survey yet, you still have until midnight tomorrow night to finish it. When the study is done, a final report will be sent to every household later this year. I asked Wilder about how many band members seem to be answering one particular question on the survey. There is a question on the survey that asks Mille Lacs Band members if you believe that we should be required to follow whatever enrollment criteria that the majority of the Minnesota Chippewa tribe members vote on, or whether you believe that we, as the Mille Lacs Band members, are the only people who should decide what our enrollment criteria will be for Mille Lacs Band. So far, I have been informed that nearly 80% of our band members do not want the entire membership to make those decisions for us. Most of you believe that we are the only people who should make enrollment decisions for our band. I will be sharing that information with the Tribal Executive Committee. In community development, we were without a commissioner for a very long time because the people I nominated for that position were not ratified by this current band assembly. Miigwech to the CMD staff for doing the best they could. If you noticed over the past year, it seemed like things were really slowed down in housing. At long last, the band assembly finally confirmed my most recent nominee for the Commissioner of Community Development. I am happy to say that band member Rick Perdun was ratified as the new commissioner a few weeks ago and was sworn in yesterday. He has begun digging into making our housing program better and stronger. Congratulations, Commissioner Perdun, miigwech to the band assembly, and especially Representative Harry Davis for his support in this search and getting a good candidate through the process. Commissioner Perdun, you have your work cut out for you, and we look forward to your leadership. I just held a cabinet meeting in December and focused on housing. I want to say this: we must overhaul our policies and get our people into homes that they can own. First, our loan program has not kept pace with inflation. People cannot find decent homes in the price range of our loan amounts. This program is not being used like it could be. We have to increase the maximum loan amount that a person can borrow. Second, as a government, we need to get out of the business of processing loans and shift that over to professional financial people. We are one of the only tribes in the country that own our own bank and a holding company, but we have employees in CMD who are responsible for mortgage loans. Think about that. Why should our government be trying to operate like a bank when we actually own a bank that could do this? A change in this could speed up the process. Third, CMD currently manages 513 rental units. This is an impossible number to keep up with for our small staff. A few years ago, I directed CMD to create a rent-to-own policy so that more band members could own their homes and the government can get out of the business of being landlords. The idea was that the band members' rental payment would go towards purchase price of the home. The proposal was not acted on by the Housing Board at that time. Commissioner Pordon, this is a directive I have for you. People who have a stake in their homes take care of their homes. Work with the Housing Board to get that policy passed. Commissioner Pardun also talked to me about his idea for home ownership that is a bit like Habitat for Humanity. Band members would be required to help with some of the work on the houses they want to live in. I fully support this idea and look forward to seeing it happen. In 2019, we filed a lawsuit against opioid manufacturers and distributors. Solicitor General Caleb Dog-Eagle has been working on this case. There has been some settlements which will bring us much needed funds for housing, treatment, and prevention programs. We expect additional settlements in the future. Commissioner Anderson, I direct you to work closely with Commissioner Pardun to make sure that people who are leaving treatment have a safe place to stay and that supports their wellness in a timely manner. Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures had a good year under Commissioner Joe Naquanebe's leadership. The Business Incubator Project continued. 42 band members who want to own their own businesses have now graduated from the Enterprise Academy. The Corporate Commission is currently building Sugar Maple Crossing, which will create 40 workforce housing units in Hinckley. In the urban area, the Ventura Project in South Minneapolis is finally underway. This project was stalled due to talks with the city of Minneapolis. Commissioner Naquanebe and his team are working hard with the city to make sure we adhere to all of their regulations. The Ventura Project we're providing to urban members and a new home for our urban office and programs. Despite the economy, our casinos continue to do well. And most exciting for many band members is that we are expanding our band businesses and economic capacity by constructing a seed-to-sale cannabis facility. The decision to get into the cannabis industry was not made lightly, but it is what the majority of the band members who spoke up said they wanted. A leader's job is to listen to the people. I have always said that band members know best how to solve our problems. It is my hope that this new industry is all that we have promised it will be. When we make decisions of this magnitude that will impact our future, we must also be guided by the wisdom of those who came before us, relying on the teachings they passed down. It is important to respect their strength, dedication, and foresight. It will soon be time for our future leaders to step forward. And one of my duties is to make sure that I pass along some of the things I learned to the next generation. But first, I want to share some of the foresight and vision of those who came before me as chief executive, from the people I learned from. I first met Chief Executive Arthur Gabo in an official capacity after he hired me as the Commissioner of Administration in 1989. Chief Executive Gabo was a trailblazer. He was a man of great vision. His vision including securing our 1837 hunting, fishing, and gathering rights. He began this work 20 years before our Supreme Court victory. In 1979, Chief Gabo convinced the Minnesota Chippewa tribe to establish a hunting and fishing code that was tailor-made for the Mille Lacs Band. Art also understood the power of knowledge. He directed the publishing of our band history. This history was important during our lawsuit to reclaim our treaty rights. He worked hard to convince the Wisconsin bands to recognize our rights. He also pushed the state of Wisconsin to acknowledge our rights. He stood firm in the face of resistance, and he never ran away from adversity. In fact, his dedication was so strong that he would seek out trouble, good trouble. which led him to be arrested for spearing fish out of season. This was his strategy. He wanted to create a case to litigate the band's treaty rights, and the state of Minnesota's Commissioner of Natural Resources knew it. Minnesota Commissioner Joe Alexander did not want to litigate our treaty rights case, likely because he knew we would probably win. So State Commissioner Alexander dropped the charges against Art. But the thing is, the state DNR still had possession of the fish that Art had speared. The way Don Wadle tells the story is that one day Art got a package in the mail. Art opened the box, and inside of it was the same fish that Art speared. It had been to a taxidermist, was mounted on a wall plaque, and the spear was still in the fish. Nobody thought this was funnier than Art, especially since the trophy fish was not even a walleye. It was just a sucker. Other band members were also cited for fishing violations. These acts of defiance were a step towards justice, a cornerstone in our struggle to protect was and is rightfully ours. Finally, in August of 1990, Chief Executive Gabo's dream took a big step forward. Our case against the state of Minnesota for interfering with our 1837 treaty rights was filed in federal court. This was a historic moment, a result of 30 years of struggle, advocacy, and unshakable determination. Art also had the vision of hope and opportunity for band members, a vision born from a life of poverty on our reservation. He understood that our collective circumstances as a tribe were no fault of our own, but were engineered by 150 years of policy designed to keep us weak. He envisioned our band growing into a thriving Indian nation where the flame of opportunity would burn bright, casting its warm light on the hopes and dreams of every band member. In a tribe with over 80% unemployment, Art dreamed of a future where prosperity was not a privilege, but a promise to everyone who was willing to work for it. He believed that the key to unlocking economic growth and hope for our band was our tribal sovereignty, and Art was right. Casino gaming became a reality on our reservation because we exercised our sovereignty. Chief Executive Gabo was one of the 10 founders of the Self-Governance Project in the United States. Art served the band as tribal chair and chief executive for 19 years. Chief Executive Marge Anderson was the first woman to become chief executive in 1991. She led the economic expansion of our reservation during those first years of Indian gaming. She oversaw the transformation of our reservation from being a collection of broken down shacks to a community with modern schools, ceremonial buildings, good homes, and roads. I also served as Chief Executive Commissioner of Administration. With our new gaming revenue, she gave her commissioners the opportunity to be creative, and if our ideas aligned with her values, she supported them. I will never forget the day that Ben and Elfrida Sam told me about an upsetting thing that happened to them. They were traveling, and one of them needed medical help, so they stopped at a clinic south of us in Mille Lacs County. When they got to the clinic, one of the staff said to them, "Don't you have your own clinic where you can go to?" That's when we decided that we needed to create a program where all band members would have health insurance so they could go wherever they wanted and get the medical treatment they needed and deserved. We created Circle of Health. Our Neosho Clinic was one of the first brand new tribal health facilities in the United States built with gaming revenue. Most important, Chief Executive led us to our 1837 treaty rights victory in the U.S. Supreme Court. Marge served as Chief Executive for a total of 13 years. There are no perfect leaders. We are all human. But there are perfect lessons to be learned if we pay attention to our history. Many of you know a bit about the next story because I speak about it often, but it is the foundation of who we are, the non-removable Mille Lacs Band. It has everything to do with our current battles today, and it has great power because it's a great and true story. So to our future leaders, please listen carefully one more time and carry this story with you. In 1855, our ancestors signed a treaty with the United States. It created the Mille Lacs Reservation. At the same time, Leech Lake and other smaller reservations were also created. In 1862, the Dakota War took place. There were several Ojibwe bands from the north who wanted to join the Dakota and fight the United States. The Mille Lacs Band chiefs refused to join the war and instead sent a warning to Fort Ripley and tried to protect the fort and the settlements. In 1863, after the Dakota War, the United States wanted to remove several tribes it had made treaties with in 1855 in order to appease the white settlers. However, there were two articles in the Treaty of 1863 that seemed to contradict each other. Article 1 seemed to say the Mille Lacs Band and other bands had to give up their homelands to the United States. But Article 12 said something different. Because of the Mille Lacs Band's good behavior during the Dakota War, Article 12 said we would never have to move unless we caused harm to the settlers. Tribal leaders from Mille Lacs met with President Abraham Lincoln. He told them that our people could stay on our reservation for 100 years or 1,000 years. Despite these promises, squatters and others who wanted our valuable pine timber tried to take our reservation away from us. For 20 years, leaders like Shabashkang and Mazumane fought to preserve the reservation for band members. But federal officials wanted to send our kids to boarding school and divide up our lands. The pressure to move all the Ojibwe to White Earth was intense. In 1886, the U.S. sent a commission to negotiate one last time with the Ojibwe of Minnesota. They wanted us to give up our reservations and take allotments at White Earth. Our ancestors refused. Shabashkang said to the commissioners that he would rather that his bones bleach out on the shores of Mille Lacs than take that move. He reminded officials about the 1863 treaty and President Lincoln's promise of the right to stay on our reservations. The commissioners reported back to Congress that Mille Lacs and Fond du Lac would not accept removal to White Earth. Congress responded by passing the Nelson Act, which authorized more negotiations with the Ojibwe to give up our reservation and take allotments. The Nelson Act Commission came to Mille Lacs to negotiate. Our ancestors told the commissioners that they would stay and take allotments at Mille Lacs. They understood that the allotments would allow them to stay on the reservation forever if they wanted. So the Nelson Act Commission promised that the band would receive allotments at Mille Lacs. However, before the allotments were made, squatters again swarmed the reservation and claimed nearly of all the reservation lands for themselves. Band members' homes were burned and they were forced from their lands, sometimes at gunpoint. But our ancestors fought to stay, even when the federal government withheld their annuity payments unless they went to White Earth. Eventually, a few allotments were granted on this reservation. Band members and the federal government also bought back some land when they could, but most of our land was taken by force. We went from about 61 acres down to just a few acres. Our leaders would spend the next 135 years gradually buying back a small part of our lost land, which we are still doing today. Fast forward to the year 2002, some of the Mille Lacs County officials never got over our treaty rights victory in 1991. In 2002, Mille Lacs County sued us to establish our reservation. I was the chief executive. The case was thrown out of court by the judge because there was no proof that the existence of our reservation had ever harmed anyone. Fast forward to 2010, when President Obama signed the Tribal Law and Order Act into law. TLOA, as it is called, made it possible for some of the worst crimes committed on a reservation to be prosecuted by the United States. And if a person was found guilty, they would be sent to federal prison instead of county jail. So we applied for the Tribal Law and Order Act status to give the federal government criminal jurisdiction on a reservation because it might make people think twice about committing terrible crimes. But the process slowed down after Mille Lacs County objected to our application. The county board told the federal government that there was no reservation in their county. In hindsight, the county probably should have kept still. Because of the county's objections, the U.S. Department of Justice had no choice but to ask the Interior Department, does the Mille Lacs Reservation exist? So Interior had no choice but to answer the question, which involved intensive research about the county's claim. After almost 2 years of waiting, Interior finally issued a 37-page opinion explaining how and why the Mille Lacs Reservation never went away and continues today. With that opinion in writing, the U.S. Department of Justice accepted our application and we gained TLOA status. At that point, the county board could have decided to work with us, but it did not. Instead, it kept fighting and used the only leverage it had over us, our cooperative law enforcement agreement. In 2016, without warning, the Mille Lacs County voted to revoke our law enforcement agreement. Most of us remember that dark period. Mille Lacs County tried to strip our police officers of their state licenses and threatened our officers with arrest if they did their job, even on our trust lands. The county issued a threat. They said they would only renew our law enforcement agreement on the condition that we agreed to act as if our reservation boundary no longer exists. Never, not in a million years, would we agree to that. In March 2022, Federal Judge Susan Nelson affirmed that our reservation did indeed exist. Later, she ruled that we had law enforcement jurisdiction over the whole reservation. We won. The county spent over $10 million on this case, paying 11 outside attorneys, some with fancy offices at the top of the IDS building. And just so you know, the band has spent far less on the case, and we keep winning. And now the county is spending even more money appealing the case. The United States, the state of Minnesota, and the Native American Fund, which is representing the National Congress of American Indians, Leech Lake, Bois Forte, and Grand Portage all have filed legal briefs siding with the band. The Mille Lacs County stands alone. As a leader of a government, I know if we were spending $10 million or more on something, our band members would want something to show for it. To our non-Native friends and neighbors, I would like you to think about this. Have your lives changed since we won our case in 2022? Has the band taxed you or zoned you or forced you into our band's court system? No. I know we haven't because we don't want to and we can't. Mille Lacs County officials have nothing to show for spending all this money except that all of our property taxes in this county keep going up. The band is the biggest taxpayer in the county, so band members are paying for both sides of this case. And we will keep doing this as long as we must because these are our homelands and we are not going anywhere. We will always be non-removable. There was another major victory this year for band members, which is related to the story. Back in September of 2018, right after Mille Lacs County agreed to renew its law enforcement agreement with the band, I met with our government affairs team. I told them that our band members cannot keep living under the threat that Mille Lacs County could cancel our law enforcement agreement again someday. I was confident that we would win our lawsuit, but I was also confident that whenever the legal battle was over, the county would try to punish us again. Only a change in state law would ensure that this can never happen again. I am happy to report that we made history this year when a new law was passed that finally removes the requirement that tribes have an agreement with the county in order to enforce state law against non-Indians within a reservation. Never again will Mille Lacs County or any county be able to hold the safety of our people hostage. That period is over forever. This new law recognizes our sovereignty and affirms our right to keep our people safe and increases safety and security for everyone who lives in Mille Lacs County. Miigwech to the state legislature, Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, the Prairie Island Indian community, and the wider nation and the other tribes who helped this effort, and miigwech to our tribal police officers and government affairs team. Also miigwech to our friends at the U.S. Attorney Andy Luger's office. Under the Tribal Law and Order Act, our tribal police officers are cross-deputized by the United States. Our Solicitor General is a Special Assistant U.S. Attorney. Today, for the first time, I am so proud to introduce the newest full-time Assistant U.S. Attorney for our Mille Lacs Band member, Sinjin Kanasatega. Sinjin, we will miss you in our office, but all of Indian country will benefit from your new appointment. Sinjin is here with his new supervisor, U.S. Attorney Andy Luger. Would the two of you please stand and be recognized? Miigwech, band members, we won our lawsuit and we achieved this new law because of our work and commitment for so many people. So many of you attended meetings and protests, wrote letters, attended rallies, and tried to keep drugs off our reservation during this dark period. Everything that happened also took thousands of hours of meetings and work for me, our staff, and our attorneys. Too many trips to Washington, D.C. and St. Paul for me to count. Chief Executive Gabo and Chief Executive Anderson had their legal cases. This case was my duty to see through, and band members, we did it together. It has been 24 years since you first elected me to serve as your chief executive. This is as long as some of you have been alive. With your support, I have now accomplished what I set out to do as chief executive. It has been an amazing journey, and as I said earlier, I learned a few things along the way. Every leader carries a torch that will eventually be passed. I want to take this time to share some of the lessons that I learned. First, I did not just wake up one day and decide that I wanted to be the chief, and neither did Chief Executive Gabo or Chief Executive Anderson, because you do not choose leadership. Leadership chooses you. I have a story about that. When I worked for Chief Executive Gabo, every time we went to Washington, D.C., and were visiting our senators, he had a tradition of stopping by the U.S. Senate cafeteria to have a bowl of bean soup. There is a Senate resolution that mandates that bean soup be served every day. During one of our trips to DC, over a bowl of his favorite bean soup, Art began talking about his role as chief executive. He talked about his vision for the band, what we had achieved so far, and what he hoped we would achieve in the future. He told me that the two great fights that he started were coming. One was for our 1830 treaty rights, and one was the battle for the very existence of our reservation. And then he told me that he had decided not to run for another term as chief executive, and that someone else would need to see that vision through to the end. He talked about the job of a tribal leader and how it takes total commitment and time away from family, tough decisions, and years off a person's life. He said he thought that I could do the job, and he asked me to run for chief executive. And although I was flattered and honored, I did not know if I was ready. Sadly, Art passed away before his term was over, which was a devastating loss to our community. Another elected official needed to fill the role of chief until a special election could be held. Secretary-Treasurer Marge Anderson was that person. She served the band with courage and strength for the next decade. She was the right person for that moment in our history. My chief executive time began in the year 2000, but it was not a choice that I made. The only reason I ran for the office is because a group of elders asked me to. Ben Sam invited me to his home. He and several elders had been talking, and they wanted me to step forward. They asked me to. As my elders, they were my leaders. And once again, you do not choose leadership. Leadership chooses you. 24 years later, it has been quite a journey. Together, we have achieved outstanding things that would have seemed impossible back in the 1980s, like something out of a fantasy movie. I've been so proud of the work together from the time I became Commissioner of Administration and worked for Chief Executive Gabo and Anderson to the past 2 decades as serving as your Chief Executive. I want to acknowledge that progress so our next leaders know what is possible to achieve as an Indian nation. In the 1980s, the band was the poorest of the poor. We were not connected politically, we had no business economy, and the state of Minnesota was not our friend. The governors, the US senators, and other politicians barely knew who we were. The state did not recognize our sovereignty or our rights. Every day was spent fighting against injustice and fighting for survival. Compared to our budget today, back then, we were operating on pennies. But what we have done over 35 years is astonishing. So many times we were the first tribe in the nation to do something bold and successful. We were the first tribe in the United States to negotiate a self-governance compact. We opened 2 highly successful casinos. We were one of the first tribes to heavily invest in building hundreds of homes with gaming revenue, schools, and community buildings. We bought a bank, and we won a US Supreme Court case. After I became chief executive in 2000, the first thing I did was to hire all band member commissioners for the open positions. I only nominated people from other communities when I was unable to get band members through the band assembly process, and our success continued. In 2000, our Circle of Health program took off. We were the first tribal health insurance program in the country to pay band members co-pays and deductibles. We began the Minor Trust Fund, which today ensures that our youth have resources to secure their future if they spend wisely. And pushing hard for a tribal pension plan for our elders, and we wanted our elders to retire with security, we created the monthly elder supplement. We opened the state-of-the-art wastewater treatment plant, and we overcame a racist campaign to stop us from operating. For the first time in band history, we were finally successful in diversifying our economy beyond Indian gaming. We were the first tribe in the nation to focus on non-gaming hotel industry, purchasing 5 hotels, a resort, and many small businesses. We created Muckwa Global, and we were one of the first tribes in the nation to receive 8A certification from the Small Business Administration. We are now in international cybersecurity business, and the US Defense Department is a client. We won a very long battle to stop gaming expansion in Minnesota to non-tribal businesses, preserving our economic security. We expanded private education opportunities in District 2 and 3 by sponsoring the first tribal charter schools, and we have kept Mrs. Sananquan going in recent years through donations from the Band Foundation. We achieved federal legislation that allowed Pine Grove to become a satellite school of Niyashing, and we were the first ever satellite schools in the BIA system. We completely reformed our tribal police department in 2013, and we hired the first band member chief of police. We were one of the first tribes to create a grants department, which immediately began bringing in millions of dollars of additional funding for our programs, and we are still one of the few tribes that have a grants department. We were the first tribe in Minnesota to create a place of shelter that band members could use in times of crisis. We took over the state's Four Winds Treatment Center in Brainerd and became the first tribe in Minnesota to lease a tribal treatment facility. We were the first tribe to create a Department of Athletic regulations, and with hard work from Representative Davis, we were the first tribe to bring professional boxing to the reservation. We could not stop Line 3 from being built, but with a huge amount of work, we won the battle to get the pipeline rerouted further away from the reservation. We got through a global pandemic and made a very swift recovery. And according to a national contractor who is familiar with hundreds of tribes, Mille Lacs Band members receive more programs and service than any other tribe in the United States of our size that they had ever worked with. Our band members share in revenue thanks to our net revenue allocation plan. This is very different from how most tribes operate. Some tribes provide many different services but do not share the revenue the way we do, while other tribes share revenue with tribal members, but they hardly provide any government services. We are only one of the few tribes that do both. Band members, we are some of the most fortunate people in all of Indian country. Looking back over the past 52 years, we have had 3 chief executives. Stable leadership is one of the reasons behind our success. But there always comes a time when the next generation is ready to carry the torch. In the years past, I've talked a lot about growing our own leaders. I called for new warriors to come forward, for band members to take advantage of our education opportunities, training programs, and to get involved in our communities. And many of you have did that. Some of you are here today may not have chosen leadership, but leadership has chosen you. You have not stepped forward yet, but know who you are and you are ready. In a world often dominated by the loudest voices and the boldest claims, strong leadership is not about how loud someone is, or how often they post on social media. It is about the quiet strength that comes from a deep understanding of the issues at hand and a genuine commitment to serving the people. Those who are humble can be overshadowed by those with flashy personalities, but humility is a cornerstone of effective leadership. A great leader is one who listens before speaking, who values the input of others, and who is brave enough to admit they are wrong and change their mind. Strong leaders do not use their power to publicly criticize or cut down hardworking employees in front of an audience. Employees who have devoted their lives to our band. Leadership is not about the volume of speech or having the most to say. It is about the quality of the message and the sincerity behind it. And band members, it is so important that our next leader be dedicated to external relations and to remain heavily involved with federal and state government processes, just as I have done and which Marge and Art did before me. The decisions made at those levels directly impact our well-being. We have opportunities today that other tribes do not, but that could change. Our voices continue to be heard in the halls of power, or we risk being overlooked, which can stop our progress and block our ability to protect our rights. Unfortunately, the influence that a tribal chair has developed does not automatically transfer to the next leader. It can be starting like scratch, which is why it's so important for our next leader to be credible, very smart, and taken seriously. Our chief executive must have the diplomatic skills required to build external relationships and alliances, and they must be able to get through tension-filled meetings with other governments with a calm voice and a smile on their face. Leaders must carry themselves in a way that fosters respect. Finally, our next leader cannot let up on all the work we have done to preserve our Ojibwe language and culture. It is okay to look at other ways, but the most important thing is to keep our ways because the money due gave that to us. Today, I have a heart full of gratitude and a deep sense of accomplishment. Serving as your elected official has been the greatest privilege and the honor of my life. To the next generation, you are the architects of tomorrow. Your dreams, ideas, and unique perspectives are the building blocks of how our band will continue to grow and thrive. As you take hold of the torch, remember, it is not just a symbol, it is a call to action. Embrace the challenges that lie ahead with the courage and determination, for it is through adversity that character is forged. In your hands, we place the power to innovate, to build divides, and to envision a future that transcends the limitations we face today. The torch you carry is not just for you. It is a shared flame that illuminates the path for all. I am confident that we have the foundation that we have laid together, and it is strong and resilient. It is a foundation upon which a new generation of leaders can build, stepping forward with fresh ideas, renewed energy, and a commitment to the well-being of our band. Together, we have overcome challenges, championed causes, and built a path forward towards a brighter future for our grandchildren. We have worked nonstop to enhance the quality of life for every member of our tribe, laying the groundwork for the well-being and prosperity. Our achievements are a testament to the wisdom and strength of those who came before us, of our refusal to ever give up or give in, of our wise exercise of sovereignty, and the power of our culture and language. I extend my deepest gratitude to each of you and every one of you who have been part of our shared success. Your dedication, hard work, and collective spirit have been the driving force behind our progress. As we embark on our journey together as a band in the years ahead, remember the wisdom of those who walked before you. Seek guidance from the lessons of history and keep our culture close. Let the flame burn brightly in your hands, igniting devotion to our band and compassion for our people. As you take the reins, know that you carry the collective hopes and dreams of past generations and the future generations yet to come. Embrace the challenge, lead with integrity, and always remember you have the power to make a difference. Band members, me waits for the trust you placed in me, for the battles we face together, and for the victories we celebrate today as a strong, proud Indian nation. It has been a wonderful journey, and as a band member, I look forward to witnessing our continued prosperity and growth under our next leaders who follow. May our future be even brighter, and may the bonds that unite us as the proud, unbeatable, and non-removable Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe remain unbreakable forever. Miigwech. Got one more item. Miigwech. Now I have one more item on my agenda. Could Assistant U.S. Attorney Sinjin Kanasatega please come to the podium? Sinjin Kanasatega has provided outstanding legal service to me for many years. He knows our statutes so well that sometimes they think he has them memorized. After he graduated from law school, Sinjin came back to work for the band.
This shows how devoted he is to our band. More important, he is a drum keeper, he can speak our language, and continues to learn. We have never had a band member reach this high of a position with the federal government. Band members, please help me honor Assistant U.S. Attorney Sinjin Kanasatega.
Miigwech Chief Executive Benjamin put me on the spot. I was not expecting this. She asked me to share a couple words, and so what comes to mind to me, I thought about as I was departing the Chief Executive's office and I was getting ready to join U.S. Attorney Andy Lugar's office, I was thinking about there's some times where I feel like I didn't accomplish much during my time of service to the band, and that word is important. By the way, every employee, every elected official, every appointed official, it's important to remember that you are in service to the people. Government service is public service. It's more than a job, and it's honorable service to be able to serve people. But I think that what resonates with me when I look back over the last 7 or so years serving the band, it's our division of powers government. Our form of government is extraordinarily unique. It's historic, and although it looks like the form of government that is used by the United States and all the states in the nation, what is at the heart of our division of powers government is who we are as Anishinaabe and people of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. And so there are going to be training sessions over the next year that are teaching about the history and how our form of government is rooted in our culture. And it's important that all band members learn about that and are familiar about that. And it's up to band members, not just elected officials and appointed officials, it's up to all band members to make sure that that government with our culture at its heart is held high. So that's all I can think of right now. Miigwech very much. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Chief Executive Benjamin, Miigwech Sinjin for the words. As the Chief Executive Benjamin stated, each of our commissioners and solicitors have recorded updates about their departments they lead to provide additional information about 2023. Those videos will be shared right after the band assembly adjourns. I'd also like to recognize the commissioners. Of course, Commissioner of Community Development, Rick Pardun, could you please stand? Commissioner of Education, Neil Gonzalez. Commissioner of Health and Human Service, Nicole Anderson. Assistant Commissioner of Administration, Maria Costello. And Commissioner of Natural Resources, Kelly Applegate. Commissioner of Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures, Joe Nikwanabe. And Commissioner of Finance, Mel Toll. And of course, another person I work really closely with is our Solicitor General, Caleb Doggy. As I said, they had provided some videos. I've had the pleasure of working with these guys and ladies for the last about 9 months. It's difficult work they do, so I just wanted to say thank you for getting up every morning, for coming into the office, for answering the various phone calls that you answered, and for also supporting our employees within the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. Also, I'd like to say miigwech to all the volunteers, the singers, the color guard, and the drum, and everybody else who made the 40th annual State of the Band address possible. A special miigwech to all band members for your hard work and your service to the band and to our employees that service. We have a lot of work that we do. We have a lot of challenges ahead of us, and 2024 will continue to be the work that we do for this community. So, miigwech. The last song for today is an honor song, and for those of you who aren't familiar, Nawagisis Abun, Jim Clark composed this song to be sung at our State of the Band addresses. For the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, for the membership and citizens of the Mille Lacs, to bless us and to bring us forward into the new year and recognize and reflect on the things that we've accomplished this last year. So we'll now hear the honor song by Little Otter. Miigwech. Please stand. Oh, miigwech. Speaker boy. We're going to call a recess to band assembly until
Darcy? Hold on. 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock, Darcy said.
Thank you very much. This concludes the 40th Annual State of the Band. Miigwech, please drive home safe and be safe in the new year. Miigwech. We'll now be sharing also the Water Over Nickel message video and commissioner video, so please stay tuned and enjoy your meal. Miigwech.
Everything that was given to us by the Creator is good. Everything that was given to the Anishinaabe people is good.
When we were told to come here, and that is by the greater beings, we call them Money Duke, they sent us the message that we were to follow the Miga shell, and we come upon the place where the food grows on water. If you look at the Mille Lacs Band, we are one of the most southern Ojibwe tribes in the state of Minnesota.
We are sitting in the area where wild rice, or manuman as we call it in our Ojibwe language, where it grows the best and the most productive. Manuman has a very interesting life cycle, and it's dependent upon a flow of fresh, clean water through it. Our fragile ecosystems are so sensitive to their chemical balance. If there's any slight change in the water, in its pH, in its chemical composition, this could greatly upset the ecosystem and eventually impact all of us. The mining company that has come in, Talon Metals, is proposing a mine in Tamarack, Minnesota, which is only 1.3 miles away from our community. The data and the track history of nickel mining globally has only shown that it leads to environmental degradation and a compromised land and water and ecosystem. Even the EPA identifies metal mining as the most toxic industry in America.
History repeats itself many times over in Indian country in negative ways. When we talk about removing us from our land, relocating us, taking us from our homes, just over and over again, there's just policy after policy that has been created and passed into law by the United States against Indian people. They come into indigenous lands and they devastate the land and they move on. And enough is enough. The Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe is a sovereign nation. This land is not for sale. We are not for sale. You look at all the climate change and what kind of devastation it's bringing to us. Mother Earth is rebelling, and we need to listen.
They talk about mother, that's the earth, that's our mother. And we have to take care of mother. And if we don't take care of mother, she won't take care of us. And that, it's pretty basic.
We have a connection to Mother Earth.
Everything out here is alive. And it's important that we maintain that and look after it and make sure that it's here for not just our generation, but the next 7 generations.
Bonjour, Indaway Maganadug, Miigwech Biajag, 2024 State of the Band of Jesh. Nalgizis Nindigena Kaz, Makwa Nindun Dame, Minissanakwa Nindonjaba. My English name is Samuel Moose. I am honored to serve as the Commissioner of Administration for the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. As the Commissioner of Administration, I serve as a Chief of Staff to Chief Executive Melanie Benjamin. I am responsible for the day-to-day operations for the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe tribal government which includes financial responsibilities, administering of grants, contracts, overseeing personnel issues, and lobbying activities as directed by the Chief Executive. In addition to overseeing these, I also oversee the Assistant Commissioner of Administration, the Commissioner of Community Development, the Commissioner of Education, Commissioner of Health and Human Services, and the Commissioner of Natural Resources. The departments under the administration are as follows. Human Resources, directed by Stacy Sanchez. The Human Resources Department manages all personnel files while assisting all employees in departments of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. Currently, the band employs 703 full-time regular, 27 part-time regular, and 51 temporary employees. Tribal Child Support Enforcement Program, directed by Ann Stafford. Tribal Support Enforcement Office is to provide assistance to families within our jurisdiction to provide well-rounded services in promoting healthy families and financially protecting children. Services provided include paternal establishment, establishing child support orders and enforcement, and modifying existing child support orders. Self-Governance and Elder Supplemental Income Program, John Mojica. The office assists the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe with all self-governance compacts, contracts, and funding agreements, and works with our federal partners on any amendments or changes. These current agreements are signed by the Chief Executive and submitted to the BIA Office of Self-Governance and the Indian Health Services. The Elder Supplemental Income Program provides services to approximately 400 elders while maintaining and updating elder files, addresses, and ongoing communications. Grants Department, Brittany Wynn. The Grants Department collaborates with the various departments to manage 113 active grant awards, submits approximately 30 new grant applications with a success ratio between 50 and 60% being funded. Currently, we have 12 new pending awards with agencies. Information Systems, Keith Modulin. The Information Systems Department supports all information systems, both voice and data for the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe tribal government. The information systems consist of 5 full-time staff to manage hundreds of computers, servers, phones, networks in all 3 districts. Anji Bamadazing, Christian Tice. Anji Bamadazing helps to empower participants through education, training, work experience, cultural opportunities, and supportive services. Anji Bamadazing continues to see positive outcomes and strong participation within all groups accessing programs and services. Some highlights of the program are 223 WEX participants providing over 7,100 work hours to the community and businesses, helping 70 families obtain housing and 50 participants obtain permanent housing. It's helped 408 participants obtain their Minnesota driver's license, 250 people in total receiving certification through a local partnership with a community college, and archived 117 audio files, 12 videos, 66 images, and 48 documents of culture on our website, www.culture.anji.org. Anji Bamadazing has offices in all 3 districts and the urban. Community Centers and Urban Office. Roberta Martin, Amanda Benke, Renee Johnson, Wabin Spears. The Community Centers and Urban Office hosts a variety of services, programs, and functions for the Mille Lacs Band Ojibwe citizens and departments. Besides programs and functions, these facilities are a hub of activities for our districts, which include community meetings, health and fitness, computer lab, communications, after-school activities, holiday parties, and much more. Governmental Affairs, Sheena Matrias. The Governmental Affairs Department works to preserve and protect, defend the inherent sovereignty rights and authority and interest of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, its citizens, through effective intergovernmental relations and advocacy. Governmental affairs saw several highlights. At the state, Mille Lacs Band was essential in the passage of the Omnibus Judiciary and Public Safety Bill, which amended several sections of the state law regarding concurrent law enforcement authority, which recognized tribal sovereignty and tribal law enforcement's authority to enforce state criminal code on tribal land. While our federal advocacy saw some historic items, President Bush's nomination and the state's confirmation of Judge Sarah Hill, Cherokee, to serve as a federal judge in the United States District Court in the Northern District of Oklahoma. Also, Congress's enactment of advanced appropriations for the Indian Health Services, a historic provision for Indian health care throughout Indian country. IHS was the only federal health provider without basic certainty of funding from one year to the next. And of course, the Supreme Court's decision in Holland versus Brackeen, which affirmed that Indian Child Welfare Act is constitutional, reaffirming that tribal nations have the inherent power of self-governance and the inherent right to provide for the social, economic, safety, and cultural needs of their citizens. In addition, the Commissioner of Administration has been tasked with the responsibilities of the Commissioner of Community Development, which has been filled and will be welcoming Rick Pardun as our new Commissioner of Community Development. Areas of responsibility are Housing Department, which manages 513 rental units, 2,229 work orders that were performed and completed by 18 housing maintenance staff, conducted 92 move-in and move-outs, 273 housing inspections, and completed 36 carpentry projects. Home Loan Program and Renovation Program provides home loans and financing for qualified band members and manages both loan portfolios, which consist of 313 total mortgage loans and 126 renovation loans. Public Works Department, which oversees road maintenance, water, wastewater, and solid waste in all three districts. Currently, Solid Waste Department services 850 customers in our service area. Planning and Project Management Department oversees all phases of government-funded construction projects, which include government buildings, new home construction, home renovation, road construction, parks, and other infrastructure projects. Again, miigwech for attending the 2024 State of the Band Address, and chi-miigwech to my fellow commissioners and all the Mille Lacs Band employees for a great year. I'm excited for the new year and all the great opportunities to come for the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe and its citizens. Chi-miigwech.
Anin, Anaguquins, Indishnakas, Magizi, Indundum, Ajamug, and Dunchaba. My name is Maria Costello, and I proudly serve as the Assistant Commissioner of Administration for the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. I want to welcome you to the annual State of the Band 2024. I also want to take this opportunity to say miigwech to all of our dedicated Mille Lacs Band employees who work hard to provide the best services to our band membership. I would like to share some additional highlights and updates from administration and community development from this past year. A few updates from Human Resources. This includes the hiring of a Human Resources Manager, Justine Meyer. She will be assisting with the day-to-day operations and implementing the next phase of our compendium project. Additionally, throughout this past year, we have identified there is a need for more training opportunities for the band staff and hiring additional HR staff to meet the needs of all band departments. The next department that I would like to update is the Tribal Child Support Enforcement Office, which was established in 2011 and has continued to grow to meet the needs of band members, but most importantly, to assist with capture and financial need for our families. The total number of open cases during fiscal year 2023 was 1,510, and the amount of child support collected and distributed for the year was $1,843,382.62. Recently, the department moved into the newly renovated old tribal court space, which has allowed more space and privacy for our clients. And one of the major goals for the department this year will be to focus on proposing statute revisions that will align with the current federal regulations. The department is now currently fully staffed and prepared and ready to assist the band membership. Community development accomplishments. This past year, in my role as acting Commissioner of Community Development, I focused on stabilizing and providing support to the department on a day-to-day basis. In order to build capacity within the department, we began with planning and review of each job description and updating each to a more comparable market rate to correct the wage disparities. This has allowed the department to retain and attract individuals who are looking to join the team that can be compensated for their unique and complicated work that they do. It is the goal of our department to meet the need of each of our districts to ensure all band members are treated fairly and equally. This year, we worked in collaboration with the Housing Board to update and revise the home renovation policies, home loan policy, and the admissions and occupancy policy. I want to take this time to say miigwech for all band members who participated in providing input for our surveys. These are only a few brief updates from this past year that I felt were very important to highlight and share with you here today. An annual report has been made available to all band members. In this report, you will find more information and updates about each individual department. We are always looking at how we can improve programs and services. If you have any questions or would like to schedule a meeting with any of the executive branch commissioners, please reach out to Angel Orline at 320-532-7478. In closing, I look forward to this year to build a better government and focus on the positive milestones and keep moving forward together. Miigwech and have a happy new year.
Bonjour, Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe members. My name is Kelly Applegate, and I proudly serve the Mille Lacs Band as the Commissioner of Natural Resources. I have many exciting updates and future plans to share with you all as we celebrate the 2024 State of the Band. I would like to start off with some acknowledgments of the great people that make our work at the DNR possible. First, I want to thank our respected community elders, band members, harvesters, knowledge keepers, cultural leaders, and elected and appointed officials who have offered up their support, wisdom, knowledge, and guidance to our department. Next, I'd like to thank the hardworking staff at the DNR. I see their commitment to help band members every day and the results it brings. The Mille Lacs Band DNR has many departments, including agriculture, archives, cultural resources, enrollments, environmental, land management, tribal historic preservation office, and resource management, which has our fisheries, wildlife, forestry, and our wildland firefighters program. We also have a great administrative team with an executive director and office manager. There's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes to achieve our mission, which includes the development and implementation of wildlife, fish, and forestry improvement activities, and regulating hunting, fishing, and gathering on the reservation and throughout the ceded territory. We also preserve cultural knowledge and practices as natural resources and provide many other services, including environmental protection, natural resource permits, historical preservation, and tribal enrollment. The Mille Lacs Band Department of Natural Resources puts our people and culture first. We remember and celebrate our ancestors, offer up our asema to the Creator and Manitou, and engage in ceremonial traditions that our people have always done. The DNR is honored to assist in the cultural and ceremonial practices of our people, like feedings, dish settings, and assisting families with needed firewood and medicines. I'd also like to take a moment to say chi miigwech to our wildland firefighter crew for their bravery in firefighting work, hard work maintaining our tribal lands and waters, and being available in emergency needs for the community. Your work is so important and does not go unnoticed. As each season passes by, we continue to see the growing effects of climate change. 2023 has been another unusual year with extended periods of drought across much of our tribal areas. We heard from many tribal members that it was a challenge to find manoomin this year because of low water levels. The Mille Lacs Band Department of Natural Resources has made the need to address climate change a focused priority by creating a position for a climate change specialist who will work with each of our DNR departments to address climate change in their areas. They will also partner and work with other agencies to build climate change resilience within the natural resources and the band. As most of you know, the District 2 area of the Mille Lacs Band is threatened by a proposed copper-nickel sulfide mine only 1.3 miles away from our band members living near Round Lake. However, impacts from this mine would not only affect our District 2 members, but a larger geographic region of the Mississippi and St. Croix watersheds, central Minnesota, all the way down through the center of the U.S. and even the Gulf of Mexico. The proposed Tamarack mine is being proposed by Talon Metals in partnership with Rio Tinto. There is a huge push coming from the federal government to increase domestically sourced raw materials, including nickel for batteries, to electrify the United States. The state of Minnesota has old, outdated mining laws that were created for the taconite industry in the 1960s. Those laws never contemplated the dangers related to sulfide mining. The proposed Tamarack mine is sited in one of the wettest areas in all of Minnesota, with connecting marshlands, streams, rivers, and lakes that all make up the pristine wetlands of the Mississippi and St. Croix watersheds. The band has been working hard as a tribal government to stop the permitting of this mine. Much of this work happens in government-to-government consultations with federal agencies. As a tribal government, we stand firm on the role of federal government to protect our trust resources and our forever homelands. In this fight to protect our people, resources, and culture, we have created a public campaign called Water Over Nickel to provide awareness of the risks and dangers associated with sulfide copper-nickel mining. The Mille Lacs Band is on the leading edge and the voice on this issue, with our Water Over Nickel campaign reaching over 40 million people and part of 275 plus media stories. In fact, when Talon Metals announced its submission of the environmental assessment worksheet to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, the Mille Lacs Band was included in 80% of the resulting media coverage. We will keep up this steady cadence as we fight to protect our people, water, and resources. You can also help the cause by logging on to our website, waterovernickel.com, and sign up for updates and ways to become involved. Now I'd like to give you all some updates and exciting news that our department is working on. In 2023, there was a major focus on enhancing our enrollments department to better handle increased demand for processing applications and doing family tree research. We achieved this by revising job descriptions and duties and hiring for vacant positions. We have also been looking into software programs that can enhance and streamline blood quantum and family tree research. Another exciting project for 2024 is the plan to remodel the enrollments department to better serve band members coming in for tribal IDs and enrollment processes. As you may have heard, there's been discussion about a secretarial election at the Minnesota Chippewa tribe, which involves enrollment decisions. Our goal here is to be ready at Mille Lacs for any potential changes and able to serve band member needs. I'm excited that the first draft of the land management plan has been completed. There will be further steps to review the plan by elected officials and get input from band members. Some of the goals of this plan are to address priorities of acquiring land, how it should be used in zoning processes, environmental issues such as demolition of structures and property cleanups, and fee to trust priorities. We are excited to work with band government and other band departments to make this useful tool to best manage our band properties. Other exciting news from our land management department is the purchase of 2 properties in Districts 1 and 2. The first was acreage on Wigwam Bay in District 1 that ties together several pieces of tribally owned property. The second acreage east of the apple orchard in District 2. Our land management department continues to research land purchases in all 3 districts to grow the band's land base. I'm also pleased to announce that 2 properties have been accepted into trust status in 2023. Land held in trust by the federal government has many benefits to the band, including federal protections and tax savings. Both the Dunkley property in District 3 and the Wilmus property in District 1 are both in the final step of acceptance into trust. Our Tribal Historic Preservation Office works diligently to protect the band's cultural and archaeological landscape. With the newly revised state statute in place to require the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act as the first step, or NAGPRA, our TIPO department has the lead role in managing cultural resources when outside agencies propose projects on our lands. Mille Lacs Band was the first tribal nation to have a TIPO office, and we continue to be the model for this work in all of Indian country. An example of our innovation is the implementation of a master contract with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. This contract will allow for us to bill the Minnesota Department of Transportation under one contract that's renewed yearly. This greatly improves the efficiency of managing and protecting our cultural resources. Our Fisheries Department had a busy year in 2023. One priority project was the restoration of Davis Lake, also known as Nahmakers Lake, in District 3. In spring of 2023, there was a rather large fish die-off due to low oxygen levels. Working closely with District 3 Representative Harry Davis, the department worked on restocking Nahmakers with a complete group of fish species, including sunfish, crappies, and 4,500 fingerling walleye. Our agriculture department has had a great year with many successes in acquiring heavy-duty equipment, managing field resources such as haying, and managing our apple orchard. Our agriculture department continues to evolve, and we are pleased to announce that there will be a focus on climate change and its impacts to natural, wild foods and medicines. This will be a unique area where we will be growing and studying native plants and their ability to withstand climate change. It's going to be a lot of interesting work, so stay tuned for more information on how you may be able to help with some of the studies by growing native plants. Our wildlife program has been working hard to protect and manage our wildlife resources. Our wildlife program oversees many issues related to animal disease, harvest levels, habitat conditions, and cultural views in wildlife management. The band continues to watch for the spread of chronic wasting disease in our deer, and we offer incentives to collect deer heads for testing. Our wildlife biologist is also a representative on the Voight Task Force at the Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission, fighting to uphold treaty rights, and participates in the science and management of our treaty resources. Finally, I'd like to make you all aware that we are planning a special 25th anniversary celebration of the 1999 Supreme Court ruling on our treaty rights. The event will include a historical look back in time and will have a panel of special guests to share their recollections of this historic win for the band. It will be a great celebration, and watch for more specific information to come out soon. Chimigwich for your time today, and I take great pride in serving the band as the Commissioner of Natural Resources.
Hello, my name is Nicole Anderson, and I'm the Commissioner of Health and Human Services for the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. It has been an honor serving in this role through all the challenges, wins, ups, and downs. In my last State of the Band update, I discussed some of our key initiatives, so I would like to update you all on the progress that we've made. But before I get started, I would like to share with you a couple of quotes that are worth sharing again. These quotes speak to the evolution of HHS. Change is hard at first, messy in the middle and gorgeous at the end. Robin Sharma. The time spent building a solid foundation will pay for itself tenfold. Darren Varndell. I think it's always important to remind ourselves where we were, where we're at, and where we're going. HHS is always looking at ways to be progressive, provide quality services, and meet the needs of the community. This has been a challenge, but we are well on our way to a brighter future. Last year, I discussed access to behavioral health services, information technology modernization, and HHS operations. What progress has been made? In my last update, I told you all a story about how one of our youth spoke to me at a meeting about the need for mental health access. This young person spoke in depth about their peers, their struggles with mental health, and the need for quality services across the band. This prompted us in HHS to look at different ways we could provide services to the community. I'm very proud to say that over the past year, we've partnered with Dr. Reed Sulik and Portage's Health to provide access across our districts to psychiatric care and mental health care. This has been a huge undertaking for HHS with a focus on youth access and partnership building with our schools both internally and externally. Our numbers have steadily increased over 2023, and we're providing more mental health care than ever before. The Substance Use Department has also been working hard to build capacity in all districts. We're at the point where we have a counselor dedicated to each district, as well as peer recovery specialists and transporters. The SUD team has also put a lot of focus on developing youth programming. In 2023, the team partnered with other departments of the band to put on 2 powerful youth empowerment camps. These camps have been a huge hit with our kiddos across all districts. The last session in December was amazing with a focus on team building, mental health, culture, and so much more. Please stay tuned for more camps that focus on healthy activities for our youth. Another exciting update for you all is on our information technology initiative. We are in year 3 of our strategic plan, and we've come a long way. We're at the point now where we're ready to implement a new electronic health record. This is huge for HHS in our community. With a more efficient and user-friendly electronic health record, we anticipate seeing improvement in patient-provider relationships, increased access to care, and more efficient processes, to name a few. This has been a long time coming, and we're so excited about this next step towards excellence. My last update is one of the less interesting areas of discussion, but probably one of the most important: operations. We continue to evaluate processes and make them more effective for employees and the people we serve. Why is this so important? This is so important because when we have supportive systems and processes in place, we become more efficient, create consistency, and improve our overall performance. This means better services and increased access for you, the individual seeking services. What's to come in 2024? We want strong relationships across the districts and to foster community connections. Over the past year, HHS has been providing education and information from different departments at each community meeting and event. We plan on continuing our efforts to build strong relationships, connect with you, and be accessible. We want your feedback and input so that we can continue to move in a direction that serves the community. We look forward to seeing you this year at our 3rd annual Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Awareness event, our youth empowerment camps, our health fairs, meet and greets, sobriety powwow, and so much more.
Uju and Dinaway Maganidok ni Janashnabedok, Neo Gabo Ikwe Indigenicas. Nimin Wendam Inindagozian da Widukazoyan, o Okea ga Anunikuyan, the Ganawendaman Inu Vikanu Amadi, Wigamigun, Binishkaye, the Widukawag, Mrs. Age Gani and Shinabe, Ani Diko and Danakid, Wayweni, the Ejikanu Amagozit. Niwea and Guamatun, the Bimiwijikadeg, Gidin Wewanan, Binish Gaye, Gidish Twawanan, Niganakea. Mi'il Mamo Apitain Dagwak, Mi'il Gaye Gai Kiduad, Ingu, Mindamuyayag, Na Akiwezayag. Buju, my name is Neo Gabawikwe. I'm also known as Neo. My government paper name is Brooke Mose Gonzalez. I'm happy to work for the benefit of the people of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. My own Annika Wijigun was a member of the community known as Muse Akiweze, Mike Moose or Mike Muse, and I have 3 children who are band members. I'm honored to be the beneficiary of language and cultural teachings from many elders of the band. The Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe Education Department has a great team of directors, including Executive Director Raina Kill-Spotted, Early Education Director Nancy Sabu, Ojibwe Language Program Director Amanda Nickaboyne-Meyer, and our Nayashing School Principal Letitia Weiss. While I don't have time here to list all of our 127 staff members, I want to acknowledge the fact that we continue to operate with staff vacancies. In many cases, our current staff have taken on multiple extra duties to make sure our students receive the attention and care they need. We appreciate this effort, but we also need relief. I hope that if any of the band members listening have an interest in joining our staff, please put in an application for positions you are qualified for. And if you are not yet qualified and you are interested in a career in education, that you meet with our scholarship department and explore taking the next step to becoming a certified educator. We really need your assistance, and our students deserve to see their own people teaching them in our schools. Nayashing School has partnered this past year with the Department of Health and Human Services, Anji-Bimadizing, and the Department of Natural Resources to provide enhanced services for our students that maximize access to band resources. Students across the country are struggling with mental health and wellness. And for our students here, it is enhanced by the ongoing series of extensive losses experienced in our communities. Grief, anxiety, and post-pandemic return to life are all struggles shared with our youth. This affects the ability of our students to focus on learning. When we did a voluntary mental health assessment at the middle and high schools in partnership with the Department of Health and Human Services last spring, we found that our students have a pressing need for additional assistance with healing and finding ways to stay mentally healthy. Our partnership with the Department of Health and Human Services has made it possible for middle and high school students to access mental health therapists and wellness coaches on the school campus, making getting help more accessible and convenient for students and their families. Partnership with Anji-Bimadizing expanded our capacity to serve students in our Oshkimajitada alternative learning program, which offers students the ability to complete their high school education and even access college-level courses and credits with supports that meet their individual needs and schedules. We also continue to partner with Anji-Bimadizing to offer community Ojibwe language tables in D1, D2, and D3. And finally, our strengthening of continued partnership with the Department of Natural Resources ensures that our students have access to our woodlands and waters, giving our students the opportunity to participate in wild rice gathering, sugar bush, and fishing. Our approach to education is to give our students the best we have to offer as Anishinaabe people. We are doing so by giving them all of the possible tools they can use to be happy, healthy, contributing citizens. Our Ojibwe language program continues to create the foundation needed to reestablish our Ojibwe language medium classrooms in our early ed and K-12 school systems. A major component of this is to establish our language standards which we are doing by convening our Tribal Eminence Committee. This committee is made up of our remaining Ojibwe-speaking elders, who will help us determine if a person has the proficiency required to engage in regular conversation, an important skill for our language teachers. This will give us the ability to certified speakers who can qualify for an American Indian language teacher license in the state of Minnesota. In our early education department, we are pleased to report that we broke ground on a new early childhood center in Hinckley. This site will be focused on providing early Head Start services. Look for announcements later this year about our opening date. And finally, I want to share one of the best parts of my duties as commissioner, which is final approval of scholarships and awards. I know that every grade on those report cards represents a lot of work on the part of our higher education students. And even if I don't have the ability to reach out each semester to tell you, I'm so proud of every single passing grade. I know how much work, how many hours of focus, and the sacrifice those grades represent. I have been delighted to approve academic achievement awards from many band members this past year, including one for a graduate of my alma mater, Dartmouth College. Go Big Green. We have scientists, IT specialists, accountants, and even a medical doctor in progress. I'm so proud of the 200 band members and descendants who are currently improving their lives and our communities by seeking out post-secondary education. I hope that, like 3 of this year's graduates who are also working in our band government, that when you have completed your higher education or certification, that you will consider returning home to work with the band. I look forward to reporting more success for our students and growth in our language in the coming year. Miigwech Bizendawiyeg.
Anin, Jigewe Gabo, Indigenous Cause, Jone Kunebi Indigu, Mayin Gun and Dudain, Mrs. Aga Igning in Dunjaba, Nisawagn and Danasug, Arjuana Kudukwe, Minawa Ogama Wabikwe, Minawa Ogama Sekwe, Nawidige Oma, Mrs. Aga Igning. My name is Jone Kunebi. I'm the Commissioner of Corporate Affairs for the Mille Lacs Band. Over the last year at MLCV, our efforts have been focused on our 2030 strategic plan that helps us care about our associates, drive purposeful profits, all within the place that we call home. We've separated our initiatives into 3 pillars. The first pillar is all about boosting the Mille Lacs tribal economy. Our focus is on creating an ecosystem for business investments in the tribal economy. As we look back on 2023, our big initiatives were completing Red Willow Estates, which is a 30-unit townhome development in Onamia, Minnesota, here in District 1. We also opened the Onamia Child Care Center, which is now known as Kid Zone, and we began the building and renovating of our tribal business incubators, including clearing the path at the Tesoro site for an exciting future opportunity for Mille Lacs Band members. We've also continued our successful Enterprise Academy. We've done 6 different cohorts now in that program since we started in 2020. We've had 52 total graduates from the program, and out of those members, we've had 42 band members walk the stage. Our upcoming projects are coming up in Hinckley, where we're doing Sugar Maple Crossing, which is a 40-unit workforce housing project right next to the Grand Cinema. It will include 10 one-bedroom apartment units, 22-bedroom apartment units, and 10 3-bedroom apartment units. So it's a very exciting project for us to be able to bring that type of housing to the Hinckley area. We're also really excited to break ground on the Ventura project that's in South Minneapolis, just off of Bloomington, where we'll be conducting construction project that includes 36 apartments on the top 3 levels, as well as creating new space for the Anjibi Madazin program on the bottom level, as well as some community space that's going to be accessible to all members in the Twin Cities area. Construction on that is being planned to begin here as we come into the summer of 2024. We're also going to be working hard on Hinckley childcare, where we're in our initial phases of establishing a child care center in Hinckley in collaboration with Pine County. And Pine County is actively engaged in securing the child care provider and other essential partners. Now, I'm going to move on to Pillar 2. Pillar 2 is about aligning our team with the values we walk as Anishinaabe people. We're committed to diversity, creating a workplace where everyone feels empowered to be themselves. Our big initiatives for this past year in 2023 was really digging into our racial equity index assessment, which is a way that companies in the state of Minnesota are measured on how welcoming they are to folks from historically marginalized communities, whether that be employees, whether that be suppliers, whether that be other type of vendors. And we had a really impressive score this year of 57.5, which is way up from our 2022 assessment of 16.7. We created a racial equity strategy aimed at making significant advancements across 7 crucial dimensions of workforce practices. These dimensions span from leadership, hiring, culture, retention, advancement. There's also elements of procurement, philanthropy, investment, and we're also engaged in other forms of public policy, products, and services. The Center for Economic Inclusion recognized MLCV along with other Minnesota companies that excelled in constructing anti-racist, inclusive workplaces. It's kind of neat that MLCV, this small company up in the middle of the reservation, was standing tall with names such as Bremer Bank, Allianz, Alina Health, Best Buy, Carousel Motor Group, Gillette Children's Hospital, Grant Thornton, the Minnesota Twins, Mortensen Construction, Par Systems, Polog Companies, US Bank, and United Properties. So we're really excited about that effort and excited about the results we've been able to achieve. We're also working hard on an internal, what we're just calling really a mini MBA program, where we're teaching folks the strategies of how to run the businesses that are in the Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures portfolio, how to be better leaders for the people that report to us, and how to have and create a bright vision for the future of all of our companies. We're calling it the Mille Lacs School. We're working with key partners including Anderson Center, the University of Minnesota Carlson School of Management, and Section. This program will develop strategic capabilities, empower leaders, and foster versatile leadership. And finally, Pillar 3 is all about diversifying our businesses, investing smartly, and securing capital for growth. Some of the biggest initiatives that we've had for the year, of course the biggest, is our hotel renovation, where we're renovating every single hotel room connected to each of our 2 casino properties. We're excited about the participation of band members. We have well over 50 band members that are working on the job sites every day, and we're super proud of the work that's being done. We formed new partnerships this year with the Minnesota United, becoming their official casino partner of a fast-growing team and a fast-growing league in the U.S. And we also were able to surpass our prior year's distribution, so we've seen some pretty good financial success in the past year. In our hospitality portfolio, we saw the Intercontinental St. Paul outperform the previous year, including Q4 with over $2 million in contracted business, group business. The DoubleTree Minneapolis Park Place did really well in its market. It sold more rooms than other hotels had and had higher prices, beating the competition. The Embassy Suites Hotel in Oklahoma City is gearing up for a brand change to Ascend by Choice in 2024 while leading the market in room sales. Big Sandy introduced 4 new cabins this past year, where we were able to finish cabin 50 and 51, accommodating 15 people each, so those are larger cabins. And then we also finished cabin 48 and 45, where we can accommodate 10 and 14 people respectively. And then finally, Doubletree St. Paul achieved its best year ever, concluding with over $800,000 in catering revenue. We also had a very successful and exciting year at Muckle Global, where we made strides in the IT space, particularly in cybersecurity and software development, thanks to its involvement in the United States Special Operations Command, or SOCOM, Agile Development Program. This strategic collaboration not only facilitated Muckle Global's entrance into the Department of Defense IT market, but also strengthened its connections with the Department of State. During this period, Muckle Global actively engaged in providing law enforcement security training and emergency support services. In 2024, Muckle Global will continue to expand its influence within the United States Army, particularly in the realm of cybersecurity and software development. Muckle Global is now operating in over 30 locations around the world. Regionally, they currently have active operations in Duluth, Cook, and St. Paul. And SlotCo officially has 108 active games in the market. We're negotiating contracts with gaming operations right here in Minnesota and also in Colorado. We just completed another 50-game deal with Hoopa Valley in Northern California, approved by their tribal council on December 21st of 2023. And of course, probably the biggest news to end our year is really our entry into the cannabis business, where we're constructing our cultivation facility right outside the event center here in the back of the Grand Casino Mille Lacs property. We're really excited about the opportunities that we have there for our wholesaling business, and we're also rolling in and starting to build our retail business as well for dispensaries at the casinos as well as other places within the community. So we're expecting a lot of those retail shops to be done by June to open and coincide with our hotel remodel, and we're looking to finish the cannabis grow facility by August of this year. MLC is actively collaborating with tribes on further legislation. We will be completing remodels, but will not begin staffing until the legislative session is over. So that was a lot, but I just want to say miigwech, thank you for your support, and looking forward to an exciting 2024.
Anin, Indinoe Magoniduk, Abache Adache, Indigenous cause. Migo de Bishku, Majakwad Ojibwe Mung. Caleb Dario, Dosh, Indigu. I'm grateful to have served as the Solicitor General of the Mille Lacs Band since May of 2019. Greetings and Happy New Year. The Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe Department of Justice includes the Mille Lacs Tribal Police Department and the Office of Solicitor General. As the Solicitor General, I oversee the DOJ. Law enforcement includes Chief James West, Deputy Chief Derek Nauman, DNR officers, patrol officers, investigators, dispatch, and emergency management. Miigwech for your dedication and service to the band. In OSG, we had a successful and busy year. We had 364 combined contract, MOU, MOA, and grant reviews. I want to take this opportunity to thank our team for their service to the Mille Lacs Band. Angel, Barb, Ben, Chuck, Chris, Danielle, Emily, James, Tabitha, and Tasha, miigwech. Your hard work is definitely appreciated. Next, I would like to provide some general lawsuit updates. In the ongoing lawsuit with Mille Lacs County, we should get a date in early 2024 for the oral arguments in the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. OSG, along with our litigators, will continue to advocate for the position of the band. In the opioids lawsuit against manufacturers and distributors, settlements will continue to occur this year and in the coming years. Settlements will be used to help address the many impacts of opioids on our communities. Another way the band can address the opioid issues is through partnerships with other law enforcement agencies, including the United States Attorney's Office. The Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe received a DOJ grant to prosecute federal crimes from the reservation in federal court. The Special Assistant United States Attorney, or SAUSA position, has led to increased coordination among federal and state partners for public safety. The Mille Lacs Tribal Police Department and the Department of Justice grant have led to significant drugs and firearms seizures. Earlier this year, the Minnesota legislature passed a law that removed the requirement for a joint powers agreement for the tribal police to exercise concurrent jurisdiction on the reservation. All of our band officers are Minnesota Peace Officer Standards and Training Board certified, or POST board, just like any other officer, whether that is county, city, or state. The law removing the JPA requirement removed an unnecessary hurdle for the law enforcement of the band and recognizes the sovereignty of the band. Access to information is critical to achieve the goals and tasks of the DOJ. The Tribal Access Program, or TAP, will provide a secure kiosk for the band to access critical information to do our jobs. The kiosk will arrive early this year and will help OSG, housing, Head Start, education, and other programs to operate more effectively and efficiently. We have big goals for 2024, including increased services provided to the band and all the programs. We want to continue to advocate for the band's interests in the county lawsuit and opioid cases and any other cases that may come up, and approve upon our busiest year yet. On behalf of OSG and the Mille Lacs Band Department of Justice, I hope everyone has a safe and healthy new year.
Hello, my name is Nicole Anderson, and I'm the Commissioner of Health and Human Services for the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. It has been an honor serving in this role. Just starting over. I don't know what's going on with me today. I think it's the pressure. All right. In my last update, I told you all about a story of one of our youth who came to speak to me at a meeting about the needs of our mental health. This prompted HHS to look at things differently. I think this thing's screwing me up. I'm just going to the back of this part. In my last update, I told you all a story about one of our youth. This prompted us in HHS to look at things differently. And Mike, I'm having a struggle here. I've never had this much struggle. I don't know what's going on. Okay, please stay tuned for more of these camps.
And I am responsible for the day-to-day operations of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe tribal government, including fiscal responsibilities, administration. Okay, let's stop. Currently, the band employs approximately 703 full-time employees. Okay, stop. Currently, the band employs establishing child support orders, modifying existing child support orders, and enforcing child support orders. I might want to change that, sorry. That's a lot of ordering going on.
Sure. Anin, Anaguquins, nope. Anin, Anaguquins, Indigenous, Indun. Anin, Anaguquins, all of the dedicated, nope. A few updates from Human Resources. Mike, it's going slow. Is it the down one that goes fast?
Yes.
Oh,